What's going on? What's going on, film fam? Welcome to another episode of Let the Film Speak. I am one of your hosts, Chop, here with my main man, Willie Jack. Willie Jack, how you living this evening, my
Hey,
dog?
it's Wednesday. I'm talking about, man. Feeling good, feeling great. You know what's going on, man.
Hey, and Willie Jack, man, I'm just gonna let you know right now, first and foremost, man, I appreciate you for tapping in with your boys, man. Rain, sleet, snow,
Hey,
through sickness, through health, man. My dog is here each and every time, man. My guy just came through, got his wisdom tooth pulled, and he
yeah,
said, you know what? I don't care, man. I'm pulling up. You know what I'm saying? It's Wednesday night, it's 7 o'clock. We ain't got nowhere else better to be at this time. He tell y'all every time we in the show,
come on,
and he's
man.
right here today, and he's proving it, letting us know, man. Hey, he's here.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying? Rain, sleet, snow, man. My dog in the building, man. So, Willie Jack, I appreciate you, my brother.
hey. If they didn't know, man, it's big LTFS, man. Big Let the Film Speak right here, man. Wednesdays we show up, man. Rain, sleet, snow. It don't matter, bro. Wednesday, snow. Get a tooth pulled. Had a car accident, man. Hey, man. If you can get there by plane, train, underwear, man. You can get in here, man. Do your thing. That's what we do, man.
That's big facts. That's big
Yeah.
facts, man. And today we're gonna recap the Hall of Fame class, man. We're gonna recap these guys, man. And this is it's very important that we had this moment too. And pay homage to a lot of these guys, man. They spent a lot of time in the NFL, man. Very few players get to this point, man. So it's only right that we honor them, especially if we're a football show and we love the NFL, man. 259 players get drafted each and every year. 1,696 players make a final roster. You know what I'm saying? The average career is about 3.3 years for an NFL player, man, and only 9 per year get inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame, man. So we gotta pay homage to these
Oh
guys.
yeah.
But before we do all of that, we gotta go through the house rules, man. And if y'all ain't here, if y'all been here before, y'all know what the house rules are. That's like, that's share, that subscribe, man. Tap in with your boys, man. You know what I'm saying? If you're in here with us right now, become one of the newest members of the film fam. We appreciate each and every one of y'all that comes in, that taps in with us. You know what I'm saying? Talk to us. And like my dog Willie Jack said,
We talk bad.
you know what I'm saying? Talk to us, we talk back. That's how we do it around here. But there's one more thing, man. Make sure you hit that notification bell. How else are you going to know what me and Willie Jack got going on, man? When we cooking at the crib, when we having people over, you know what I'm saying? When we got a lot of those things going on. So if you want to know, hit that notification bell, and I guarantee you, we will not let you down, man. We'll not let you down. All right, Willie Jack. Normally at this point, this is where we step into the news, man, where we tap into some of the news, some things that didn't happen since last week, since we had the last episode. But before we jump into the news today, I want to talk about some announcements from Let the Film Speak, man. And the first announcement I want to talk about is one that we have each and every year, man. It's the Let the Film Speak Fantasy Football League.
Yes, sir.
It's that time of year again, man. We about a month away, maybe a little bit less than a month away, but fantasy football season is on its way, man, and we have to start getting things squared away for that. So if you are interested in participating in our fantasy football league, man, to Let the Film Speak Fantasy Football League, I need you to do 2 things for me, man. 2 things. They're in the whole. It's more than 2 things, but you know what I'm saying? Like, we just put them in a group. I need y'all to like, share, and subscribe, okay? And I need y'all to share this video. That's it. 2 of these things. Like, share, and subscribe. Share this video, man. You do that for us. Let us know you want in. You know what I'm saying? If y'all in that chat right now, let me know you want in. All right. So I can keep an eye out on your posts. I'll be watching. I want to see what everybody doing. But if you're in here right now, let us know you want in. And then I need you to like, share, subscribe, and share this post, man. And we're gonna save you a spot in the Let the Film Speak Fantasy Football League. All right.
Hey, hold on, let me find this user, man. Who in here early and in the door, man? I appreciate you. He said, count me. He or she said, count me in, man. Drop your name for me. You know, when y'all on Facebook, man, I can't see y'all names. I'm gonna try to. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go find them in the Facebook as well. But yeah, man, hey, introduce yourself and let me know who it is, man. And then get on board. Hey, and matter of fact, Chop, well, we got 9 spots, man. Is it 12-team league?
12-team league, man. We got 9 spots.
Yeah.
Hey, and that was Sis right there, man. That was Sis Sierra in the building, man. She say,
Let's go. Come on now. Let's go now.
Hey, and while she in here, man, let's go ahead and give a shout out to Stink Prince, man. Let's give a shout out to Stink Prince, man. You need your shirts made. You know what I'm saying? No matter where you are in the United States, wherever you're at outside the world, you need shirts printed, man. You know, for your company, for your baseball teams, for your basketball teams. You get married. You know what I'm saying? Any type of event you got coming up, man. Shout out to Sis Sierra, man, and Stink Prince. you know what I'm saying, the family over there, they'll get you right, man. I wish I had my Stink
Hey,
Prince shirt on
and
right
you know
now.
what? Chop been rocking his Stink Prince shirt pretty frequently on the show as well, man. So, sis, if y'all got a link or something, you got a link or something, drop your link in the comments so I can put it up on the board for y'all, man. Shout out to them members, man. Stink Prince doing it real big for your boys, holding us down. That's
Stink
all
Prince is in the building, man. Stink Prince is in the building. And other announcements. This is another one, man. Another big one, man. We do every single year, man. The Let the Film Speak weekly pick 'em. All right. If you don't know exactly, see, I don't necessarily have to explain fantasy football. A lot of people know what fantasy football is, but the Let the Film Speak weekly pick 'em, man, it's almost like your weekly pool. You know what I'm saying? Your NFL game picking your pool
Hey, Chop,
games, man.
and I apologize. Give
Go
me
ahead.
1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay, go ahead. Do your thing, bro. Do your thing. I got a feeling what my dog getting ready to do when he steps away from the camera screen. He probably about to show off. He probably about to let us know what's going on with the last year's champion, man. So everybody
The
brace
champ is
yourself.
here. The champ is here.
The champ is
The
here,
champ is
man.
here.
Hey, that's
Hey, you
last
know what,
year's
man?
champion, man.
A lot of them, they didn't want to see us win. They didn't want to see your boys again. God did. Because the champ is here. Who trying to line up and get Bud Crawford, man? Who trying to line up and get Bud Crawford, man? Who want this smoke, man? That's all I'm telling you. Did I scare some people off, Chop? I got to chill.
It
I
might,
don't want to scare nobody off, man.
it might be a lot of Earl Spencers out there,
Hey,
man.
man.
I don't know if they want to line up against Bud, man.
Hey.
I don't know if they want to line up against
Everybody
Bud,
got
man.
a plan, boy, today. Everybody got a plan until, boy.
Hey, but this is another thing. We are opening the door, man. We opening the door for any and everybody who wants to participate in the Let the Film Speak weekly pick 'em. Man, if you want to participate with us, all you got to do is pick the games each and every week. That's all we ask. I keep track of each and every game. I keep track of wins and losses, but it's not a weekly thing, though. It's not a weekly thing. I keep track all the way up until the end of the season. And the person with the most wins at the end of the regular season, man, they are the champ, man. They are the Let the Film Speak weekly pick 'em champ. And last year, you looking at one of the champs, man. My dog Willie Jack, he brought home the trophy. You know what I'm saying? Amongst a few other guys, man. So if you're interested, man, I'm gonna ask you to do the same thing. I need you to like, share, and subscribe. I need you to share this, and I need you to get in that chat. Let me know, man. I want in. You know, let me know you want in. We'll get you in on a weekly pick 'em. There is no limit to how many people can participate. So, hey, the more the merrier, man. Y'all get y'all picks in, and we good to go from there. All right. So that's how we're gonna do it there. All right, Willie Jack, that's the announcements for today, man. We got to jump into the news, man. We got to jump into the news. And the first piece of news we got today, man, is over. It comes from over in New Orleans, man. Alvin Kamara, man, running back of the New Orleans Saints, will be suspended 3 games, you know, to the in terms of the start of this year's season, man, for violating the league's personal conduct policy after being arrested for battery charges from an incident that happened back in February of 2022 after the Pro Bowl, man. Kamara pleaded no contest, which resulted in him having to complete 30 hours of community service and paying a fine to the victim, which amounted to a little bit over $105,000, man. So got off with a 3-game suspension this time around. Willie Jack, what's your overall thoughts on this one, man?
I was very surprised about this. And I remember when the incident first occurred, and we were talking about it on the show, when I saw the footage and then just understanding the temperature of the league and how they look at and how hard they come down on these styles of incidents, and especially when the footage appears to be as damning as it was, I thought for sure that this was going to be in one of those things where the league makes an example. So I was thinking, and even with the rules, I think the first offense for this thing is like 6 games generally. But we've seen, you know, Roger and the power pack up top, man, they'll do what they want to. So those guidelines go out the window when it's deemed necessary by the guys that make those decisions. I didn't think a year was going to be out the question. I thought it would probably be one of those, they suspend him for a year, he has to appeal, and then it gets knocked down to like 10 games or something. So I thought it was going to be way more substantial. And so I had actually read an article talking about just his legal team, spectacular. You know what I'm saying? I can tell you that. Just
obviously
spectacular. You know what I'm saying? So man, I tell you what, boy, that New Orleans Saints money going, boy. Hey, that New Orleans Saints money is going a long way further than some of these other boys, man. Because But no. So I was very surprised, and then to see now it only be the 3 games, and so if you're a Saints fan, oh, man, I hate this is a terrible soundbite. I guess all's well that ends well. I mean, 3 games has to be the best case scenario you could have imagined. And you know what I'm saying? And now to prep for this, we of course know about the signing of Jamal Williams as well. I thought that he would be a bigger, I guess, centerpiece of this offense. I thought he may be the guy for the first as much as the first half of the season. And so now it looks like maybe he'll get that first month, and then him and him and AK will start rotating and do a little thunder and lightning type of thing. But yeah, no, I was very surprised to see how this played out for Alvin Kamara.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you're the Saints, you got to be thinking that this is a win for their organization. It's like, all right, instead of 6 games, in which that was what more so what I was thinking is like, all right, he getting 6. Like off the rip, I know he probably gonna get 6. You know what I'm saying? He could possibly get more. And this is also something that we've been talking about all of last season. It was like, all right, when is it gonna come down? When is it gonna happen? The case just got settled this past July. So after that, and him having to meet with Roger Goodell and sit down and go through those details and figure things out, they came away with 3 games as it being that thing. I think part of the reason too was, and I know a lot of people don't think too much of this, but him coming out and pretty much saying, "Hey man, I apologize," or and really showing that remorse, and people getting a chance to see that, and it being so much time that had went past, because what they say, time heals all wounds, so when you're so far removed from these certain situations, it could definitely lighten up the situation, so I thought he was going to get at least 6 games, but hey, like I said, if you're the Saints, you happy with this situation. But in regards to this situation too, the Saints brought in Kareem Hunt, which was surprising to me, because of, like you talked about, the signing of Jamal Williams, and him, to me, more likely being the guy that they were just going to lean on, and more than capable back to lean on until Kamara comes back and you can do that thunder and lightning. But instead, they go in and bring in Kareem Hunt, and with the possibility of still signing him. Now, he hasn't signed just yet. He also visited the Colts, but they brought him in, and in my opinion, maybe he was coming in to play, a little bit more of a similar role, maybe a larger role than he played over in Cleveland, and pair Jamal Williams until AK comes back. So, what was your thoughts on that one, Willie Jack?
Yeah, same as you, man. Like with the signing of Jamal Williams, I was surprised that Detroit let Jamal Williams go just for as central a figure in that offense and kind of being one of the heartbeats of that team. It was surprising to see him being let go. So then he goes to New Orleans. We already know the situation's hanging over Alvin Kamara, much like you said. So, I thought that they were fully vested in having a guy that showed last year that, hey, maybe I can be the lead dog in this room, at least for a little bit, to get you over the hump. And so when Kareem Hunt's coming in there, just like you, man, I was like, it was almost a little overkill, because I'm expecting, regardless of how long it takes for Alvin Kamara to come back, he's still coming back. And so now if we've got Jamal Williams, who we brought over on some decent free agency money relative to running backs. We know what's going on with these guys getting paid, but we bring him over with a decent check. We bring in, and then Alvin Kamara's now coming back, because I think the Kamara suspension was announced before the Kareem Hunt news of the visit happened. So we know it's only going to be 3, and the Kareem Hunt still comes in. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know the scheduling. It could have been already on the books or what have you, but yeah, it was almost one of those things there where I was going to start worrying about, man, hey, is enough footballs to go around in this backfield? You know what I mean? And so I would have been very surprised to kind of see how that played out. Honestly, man, I like the thought of Kareem Hunt in that situation, because I think he's a combination of both those guys. He's got size closer to Jamal Williams. He's got a skill set closer to Alvin Kamara. You know what I'm saying? But he's probably stronger through the tackles, or at least in his time when he was getting busy, he was. Now I don't know what he looks like now. It feels like he's been kind of he's maybe, I don't even want to say he slowed down and lost a step, but I think maybe they just phased him out more and turned more to that bulldozer we've got in the backfield, Nick Chubb, and really kind of letting him cement that place as the guy. But still, and another thing too about Kareem Hunt, he's 29 years old. He's still on he's what, 20? I want to say he's 28, 29, somewhere in there. So still younger than I thought as well. He's a guy that sounds like a dinosaur, man. It sounds like we were talking about Kareem Hunt 8 years ago. You know what I mean? When he was with the Chiefs, but no, just like you, man, I was surprised to see it. And then when the news broke that I guess that a deal wasn't reached, I imagine he's probably trying to find a place. He's been sitting in the second seat for too long now. And so it's one thing if maybe he's got to compete with Jamal Williams. He probably feels he wins that, and maybe he ends up being the guy anyway. But now to know that Alvin Kamara's coming back in only 3 weeks, and you're definitely going to be relegated back into best case the second seat and maybe the third, because your money's probably going to be less than Jamal Williams. I can see how that maybe wasn't appealing for him.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm with you there, Willie Jack. In other news, man, edge rusher Yannick Ngakoue signs a 1-year deal worth $10.5 million with the Chicago Bears. Man, Yannick Ngakoue, okay, started his career off in Jacksonville for the first 4 years. His last year with Jacksonville was in 2019. He was 24 years old. All right. Since then, he's bounced around the league. Man, he got signed with Minnesota. Then in the middle of that season, went and got signed with Baltimore. Then went to Las Vegas, and now he's with Indianapolis. Man, he's with Indianapolis, and he's only 27 as of right now. So he's bounced around a lot in this league since moving on from Jacksonville back in 2019. But still a very, very talented young pass rusher, man. He hasn't had a season where he has less than 8 sacks. Indianapolis is a team that needs a little bit of the pass rush, man. So Willie Jack, not Indianapolis, I'm sorry. The Bears is one of those teams that needs a little bit of help on that pass rush, especially since exiting from some of the guys that they had last year. So Willie Jack, what's your take on this one, man?
I really like that signing, man. That chat popping, man. So I'm trying to get in here and talk to the folks. Y'all know we talk bad. Since I'm in this thing, right, moving and grooving. But no, I like that signing, man. And kind of when we were talking about it, Yannick Ngakoue is a guy. He's been one of the more consistent pass rushers we've seen across this league for the last 6-7 years now, since he's been in the league coming when he started with Jacksonville. And when Jacksonville, through their own, whatever, like I said, they blew up their own chances to maybe start some style of AFC style dynasty with all the antenna they had. But long story short, everywhere he's went, he's produced. And I don't have the numbers. I want to say, I don't know if he's ever had less than 8 sacks in the season. So he is definitely the model of consistency. Now, his high side, I don't know if he's been a guy that's got to 15, but I think he's probably been in that neighborhood. But like I said,
right,
he's got a,
No, right. You're right. Okay. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and so, but he's a guy he's got a very comfortable floor for me. You know what I mean? Everywhere he's been, as far as just his pass rush production. Now, the thing about it is, he's a one trick pony. You know what I mean? And one of the things that I was kind of mentioning is, this is a guy that let in the right situation. I don't see why he can't be Hassan Reddick. You know what I'm saying? I don't see why he can't be a guy like that, where if he's put into a situation, man, let him pin his ears back. Hassan Reddick balled and did the things he did because they didn't ask him to be Myles Garrett. Hey, man, now you know what? We got Brandon Graham. We got a Brandon Graham. We got a Fletcher Cox. We got a Josh Sweat. We need an Hassan Reddick. You know what I'm saying? Line up 3 yards outside the tight end and don't do nothing until you smack the quarterback. Yannick Ngakoue can do that. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm curious to see why he hasn't. I don't know why. I mean, well, every team doesn't have that. It's almost can be looked at as a luxury style of signing, but it does make sense for the Bears. I like a lot of the pieces that they've added to that defense. I love that young secondary. We've talked about Jaquan Brisker. I like the other. They've got a young corner over there. Did Kyler Gordon go there out of Washington? I want to say that I like that secondary group. You still got Eddie Jackson, who's a ball hawk. He's been a little banged up, but everybody's healthy right now. Everybody starts healthy, man. He's a guy that can go get the ball. Tremaine, they redo that whole sec level. Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards from the Eagles is well coming over. And so the only kind of the weaker spot, or the spot that still needed some attention, was definitely that front line, and specifically a pass rusher. And so now you go get a guy who can get you a guaranteed bucket. You know what I'm saying? He can get you a guaranteed bucket on third down. You know what I'm saying? We'll worry about first and second down and see what we got to do to optimize him so he's not a liability in that space. But third time, he can go get me a bucket. And that's always going to be worth something to your boy.
Absolutely. I'm with you there, Willie Jack. He definitely can do that and has proven that he can do that. The only thing with him, and it raises question marks because you don't see too many players bounce around as quickly as he's been bouncing around. Like we've seen players go from team to team to team, but you got to wonder, like, what's the story behind him changing teams so many times in such a short period of time. Just in his little time in the league, he's played with, probably 6 teams, and he's only 20. He's going into his year where he'll be 28 this year, so he's bounced around so many times just throughout his career. I wonder, is there something to that? Is there something where is he, causing problems or whatever. I don't know what the case. I don't want to put anything out there, but I wonder what's the issue in terms of that.
No, and that's definitely interesting, man. And I don't know. It very well could be that, man. I'm surprised that it stayed kind of as quiet as it is because it feels like teams aren't shy at all about letting those type of things leak because it hurts your leverage and then it gives them leverage when they're trying to deal and negotiate. And so I'm surprised that if that's the case, that I hadn't heard anything like that come out. But no, I would think it. I would think it's something where he feels like he's a premier pass rusher, and we know premier pass rushers are the second most expensive position in the league. So if you're not a $300 million quarterback, shout out to my dog Scoop in the building, Joe Beasley finna cash out. If you're not a $350 million quarterback, the next highest guy to get paid is the guy that hits the quarterback. And he's a guy that probably feels like, man, I can hit the quarterback with the best of them. You know what I'm saying? And if I had opportunity or if I had scheme, if I had design to accentuate that fact, I'd be the guy that's at the top of that list. You know what I mean? I can be a Hassan Reddick who gives me 16 and a half sacks. You know what I'm saying? I could be that guy that, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever the case. And so I would think maybe it's something like that, like chasing, the money that he wants to. It's hard. If I'm a pass rusher and I know I'm a guy, I can hit just as many quarterbacks as Myles Garrett. You know what I'm saying? 12 and a half sacks a year. He's a $100 million man. I can get to 12 and a half. He's got 100 million. I got 10 and a half. Don't sit right with me either. Now, he's not Myles Garrett, but I'm just saying, I imagine that he hasn't been that teams don't value his services the way he does, especially for what he does and the position in which he does it in. And so I think maybe that would be why he's continually taking these kind of 1 year kind of style, prove it style deals. But 1 for 10 and a half is good money. You know what I mean? So that's good money. And then this is a young team that really he's got a chance to latch on with this team as well. You know what I mean? This is a young team that's building. Listen, imagine that they surprise some folks and he gets a 12 sack season this year. Man, I got to think he's gonna see a nice little bag. He might not be a $100 million man, but you know what I'm saying? He might be a $60 million man. He might be $80 million. You know, so he can still. I think this is a good opportunity. I like the matchup for the team need of the team, the player they went and got, and then his availability to find a home in that situation as well. So I really do like this matchup.
Absolutely. All right, Willie Jack. Well, there goes the news for today, man. We went ahead and tapped into the news, man. And while we at it, man, I heard you talk a little bit about, you know what I'm saying, our film fam that's in the building, man. So Willie Jack, go ahead and do a film fam check-in.
Hey, come on, man. First off, man, y'all know, man, early in the building was Sis now. Stink Prince was early in the building. So shout out to Sis. Our dog, man, day one game, man, Dave Tober, man, our dog Scoop in the building. And Scoop, man, look at this, man. Scoop jump in and just want to start talking outlandish. Talking things about Calvin really going for 1,500. Trevor finishing top 3 in the MVP vote. You know what I'm saying? He don't come in and say, what's up, man? What's going on with the team? He just come in just firing off. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, you better, what's up to the three amigos for you get in here and start throwing shots, boy? But yeah, man, he got some ball talk, man. Then
that mean Dave, you just need to come on back for the bold predictions episode.
We gonna get into all that. We gonna get into all that for sure.
Man.
Oh, he got
because you dropping bold right now, baby.
He dropped another one here, man. Bengals get Joe Burrow's gonna clear 300 million, 300 M's, and I told him I'm on that wave as well, man. I've been talking that same talk. We talked about Joe Burrow's calf 2 weeks ago, and I said, boy, you playing with 300 M's, boy. Sit it down. You know what I'm saying? Or you know what I mean? Like that, yeah. Stop. If I'm in his team, yeah, don't play. Make him bring that bag first, man. But yeah, so shout out to the fam in here, man. The fam bam in the building, man. Mom's in the building, man. Sis in the building. Wifey's in the building as well. I'm trying to bounce back and forth between the family on Facebook as well. I know El Jefe Nino is in the Facebook chat as well, man. So what's happening? Slide to YouTube, my boy. Come up to the penthouse and tap in, man, so I can see your name when you comment. And actually, he had a question about I think the pick 'em or the fantasy football. So I try to reply to him on the Facebook chat as well. But hey, man, bring your ass to the penthouse anyway, big dog. Come on up here to the top floor, man. Ring my bell when you get here. But yeah, man, shout out to the film fam, man. We finna get busy today. Y'all know what's going on.
Absolutely, man. And with that being said, it's time to go ahead and jump into the meat and potatoes of the show, man, which is the NFL Hall of Fame class of 2023, man. And I definitely want to jump into that, man. Pay homage to a lot of these guys that, that made their way, into the Hall of Fame this year. So we want to talk about a few of those guys. Of course, after that, we're going to talk about a few of the finalists, man, that just missed it. Some guys that we maybe felt like got snubbed, just our overall thoughts on the entire situation, as we go through this, man. But without further ado, man, let's go into the first guy on this list, man. And we're gonna talk about a coach, man. We're gonna talk about a coach, a long time coach for 14 seasons in the NFL, man. 1974 Coach of the Year, finished with a record of 114, 89, and won 5 division titles, man. I'm talking about head coach Don Coryell. You know what I'm saying? And you look at the record, and most people would say, that's not super good, or he wasn't as dominant, but his story was it's a lot more to be told in terms of his story than it is just the overall numbers. And here it is again, y'all, and I said it and I said it again. A lot of times there's more to the story than just stats. What I'm saying? Stats tell a part of the story, but they don't tell a whole story. You know what I'm saying? That's my thing. You know what I'm saying? So Don Coryell is one of those coaches who had a great impact on the game in terms of changing the game. And matter of fact, I just thought about something, Willie Jack. This was something or a conversation that you had a long time ago, back in the early days of Let the Film Speak. You probably thought I forgot, man. But this is a conversation you had with a few of our members, man, that came in and they was talking their stuff in regards to, what they thought, and you brought up the Don Coryell, man. So tell everybody, let everybody know what Don Coryell, man, is most famous for.
Well, I mean, of course, the Eric Coryell offense as it became known, and I guess, and man, I don't want to talk like I'm a, what I'm saying, a 70s historian.
No, obviously, I know.
No, for sure. But one of the things that we could say, one of the innovations we could say, you know what I mean, and so is the let's say like the integration of the spread tight end, like the spread tight end being a focal point or a real centerpiece of the overall offense. Tight ends throughout the history of this league until probably Don Coryell. Now, we've had a couple bright spots. We had a Dick Butkus. We had a John Mackey. You know what I'm saying? And so we've had some bright spots about guys who can, who can produce or do things outside of the norm. But for the longest, tight ends were small tackles. You know what I mean? They were too small to play tackle. Okay, well, then stand next to the tackle and do as best as you can to imitate him. Well, no, Eric Coryell, man, he kind of revamped and redesigned an offense, and especially had a guy, Kellen Winslow Sr. as well, who gave us our first taste of Shannon Sharp, gave us our first taste of Travis Kelce, gave us our first taste of Antonio Gates, gave us our first taste of Tony Gonzalez. You know what I mean? A guy that plays tight end, moves, and almost looks like a receiver. You know what I mean? And so that being just a massive, way ahead of his time style of thing, because after Kellen Winslow Sr., we still the next crop of tight ends are Mark Bavaro. You know what I mean? They're guys that go back to that heyday. So there's another kind of dead period or stretch of these block first tight ends, these sixth offensive linemen, as you will, until we get to probably in early 90s where we get a Shannon Sharp, who was a receiver coming out was it Savannah State. You know, he was a receiver, then gets converted to tight end. You know what I mean? And then we get a Tony Gonzalez, a basketball player from Cal, who converts to tight end. You know what I mean? We get these guys coming back into the league that we had saw 10 years prior with Kellen Winslow and Eric Coryell. And so now another thing as well, man, the dominance or prevalence of his passing attack, one of the stats I saw. So in his run where he really made his name and his claim to fame with his run with the Chargers, with Dan Fouts as his quarterback, an offense that really led the league in passing. I think the 9 years he was in San Diego, I saw here, they were the number one passing offense for 8 of those years, which is extremely, it goes to show the consistency, the innovation and the advantage that his offense and how he, and the things that he innovated and brought to this game and how dominant they were for an extended stretch. Now, they didn't get over the hump and win a bowl, but this is a guy that his fingerprints are all over this league and all over modern football, especially with the way this game has progressed. If Don Coryell, he started coaching in 73, he was a head coach of the St. Louis Cardinals. Let you know how long ago that's been, because I ain't talking baseball. He started as a head coach with the St. Louis Football Cardinals in 1973. Imagine if Don Coryell came into the league in 93, in 2003. You know who he'd be? He'd be Sean Payton. He'd be Andy Reid. He'd be Sean McVay. He'd be, if he was 37 years old and just got his first head coaching job 2 years ago, he would be one of those guys. Like, this is the type of guy that we're talking about. You know what I mean? Like his interventions and what he did. And so I know Chop talked about his record. Maybe his record doesn't blow you away. I still think it's respectable. He's 30 games over 500 in a league in which every single game, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, you got to fight tooth and nail for every single one of these bad boys. And so he finished well. He had a run. Like I said, they didn't bring the overall championship home, but definitely a guy. He's a offensive Rushmore guy, if you ask me. If you're talking just offensive innovators, you've got to go a guy like Eric Coryell. You've got to go a Bill Walsh. You've got to go man. I'm on the spot here, man. Why can't I think the quarter not Starbucks coach, the 70s 80s Cowboys coach with the hat? Why am I tripping, bro?
With the hat,
yeah, I'm tripping, man, and I'm ashamed I can't say his name, but you know man, somebody help me in the chat. Where's Brother Red when I need you, dog? Come on, Brother Red.
That's definitely a brother Red, man.
But the 70s.
Tom Landry.
Thank you, man. I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed of my damn self, man. Joe Gibbs,
don't worry about it.
Don Coryell, Tom Landry. You know what I'm saying? And then like of that ilk, like those guys, and then a guy that came off of his tree that did go win a Super Bowl or two, Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs came up under Don Coryell as his running back coach and then his offensive coordinator. And then he goes and he has the success he has in Washington. As remarkable a feat as he did, winning multiple Super Bowls with different quarterbacks each time, we don't understand how special and difficult that task is. He learned and came up under Don Coryell. North Turner's passing offense, and they were in the 90s, definitely run heavy, but the way they use tight ends, letting the tight end be still have his block responsibility, but bringing him in and letting him impact that pass game as well. North Turner borrows or comes from kind of through the lineage of Coryell and North Turner as well. And Joe Gibbs as well. So this is a guy that well-deserving for sure. He's a guy that, for me, like I said, if we're talking offensive football, he's Rushmore. He should have been in, if you asking me. You know what I'm saying? So I think well-deserved. I can't say anything bad about that man at all when I look at and review his legacy.
Absolutely. Here's another thing too, Willie Jack, just to put it into perspective for our listeners and for the foreign fam, is the fact that he was the first ever coach to get to over 100 wins in the NFL. Like what he did was,
wait, over like George Halas and Lombardi with the Packers and all that, really? Oh wow.
What he did was unheard of. You know what I'm saying? So it was more so for his impact than on the game and then the actual stats. And for you to mention how many years he led the league in passing, that's new. That was new to the league. That's something different. You know, so a lot of times it's not about your overall success, but more so the impact you have on the game. And he was one of those guys that had a tremendous impact for sure.
And you know, he's a perfect example of something that me and Chop have debated and that we've talked about. Raw production versus impact at your best. Impact at your best. Don Coryell was probably one of the most innovative offensive coaches in this league. Now, he didn't win as much as the other coaches around his time. He didn't win as much as he didn't. What was this? Late 70s, early 80s, and so he didn't win the way that Bill Walsh won in San Francisco. You know what I mean? And so he didn't win the way that the Cowboys are going to be after him. No, he was in the 70s Cowboys era as well. He didn't win the way the Steelers won. He didn't win the way those 70s Cowboys of Tom Landry won. He didn't win the way Bill Walsh's Niners won as he got into the 80s. But he was a guy, they were consistently competitive, consistently in contention, and they gave it a hell of a run, man, for a long period of time. So, well deserved.
Absolutely. Yeah, you were there right there with me, Willie Jack. So let's move on to one of the other guys, man. Another guy, we'll go to the cornerback room, man. The cornerback room, and I know it's a couple other cornerbacks on this list, but this is probably not the guy that a lot of you are very familiar with, man. But Ken Riley, man. Ken Riley, cornerback for the Cincinnati Bengals, man, spent his entire career there, 15 total seasons, man. Amassed 65 total interceptions throughout his career, one All-Pro. And was a vital part to the Cincinnati defense. Now, he's another guy in which the impact that he has on the game, and just to put it into perspective, when you say 65 interceptions amongst for his career, you're talking about a guy that's amongst guys like Charles Woodson, You know what I'm saying? Charles Woodson also has 65. He is fifth all time on the interceptions list. You know what I'm saying? That's above guys like Deion Sanders, some of the guys that we know. Ed Reed. Ed Reed was a ball hawk. Ronnie Lott, Darren Shaw.
No, and you know what? And I don't know if you haven't pulled up. Let's give the listeners those numbers. Because if we think about ball hawks, especially for our generation and the generation maybe right above us, it probably gets no better at pure ball hawking ability in the secondary than, let's say, a guy like Ed Reed and a guy like Charles Woodson. So think about how many plays we all saw Ed Reed being like, damn, man, Ed out there killing him. He ain't got as many picks as Ken Riley. You know what I'm saying? So like let that sink in, that number. 65 interceptions in a league that there was no Mahomes in his league. Was no Big Josh. Wasn't no Joe Burrow in his league. How many quarterbacks had 500 attempts in the season when he played? 65. That's the gravity of that is massive, man. So I'm glad that they went. This feels like one that definitely fell through the cracks, and I'm glad that this is one of those. A lot of times I'm not a fan of when they go dig back and pull a guy from 60 years ago and then put him in the hall, because we've got guys waiting now. If it took 60 to get there, maybe he wasn't supposed to be there. This one is like a guy, it was a grave injustice for him. He was a guy that slipped through the cracks of the league. One All-Pro, 65 picks, the consistency of 65 picks. Here's what's interesting about that one All-Pro, Chop. It was in his last season of his career, because he led the league in picks again with 8 interceptions at 36 or 37 years old.
He led the league in interceptions 3 times. He led the league in interceptions 3 times throughout his career. He also was a kick returner. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did that too. So he was a guy who was pretty much I wouldn't say a jack of all trades, but he was a pretty versatile player throughout his time in his career too. You know what I'm saying? So
what I was gonna say is when I was looking into him, he didn't make any Pro Bowls. He only made the one All-Pro his last season when he led the league in picks at the age of like 36, 37. But when I was looking into him, one of the things you know what, and maybe I misread that, but I thought the other corner because he played with another popular corner, especially at the time. I wrote his name, Lamar Parrish, who was the opposite corner away from him. But I think Parrish was a punt returner. And so Lamar Parrish, back in this time, the Pro Bowl didn't separate specialists. So you can be voted to the Pro Bowl now specifically to return punts, a la like Devin Hester, Josh Cribbs. Well, back then, they didn't have a specific specialist return role. And so Lamar Parrish, who was the more prolific, I think, punt returner, I think he did kickoff and Lamar Parrish did punt returns. But Lamar Parrish got all the Pro Bowls because he was the punt return guy. Meanwhile, Ken Riley's just the guy intercepting all the damn passes. And so, man, it was just this is another guy, man. I think his time was the 80s, I want to say. And in this time, he's another guy, man. If his career starts in 05, is he Charles Wood? Do we look at him like we look at Charles Woodson? You know what I mean? A corner.
And they get and that's the other part of it too, Willie Jack. Charles Woodson played 2 extra seasons, and they tied for the amount league interceptions. Boom. I mean, not league, but total career interceptions. Yeah. And we know Charles Woodson was a ball hawk as many times as he's got his hand on the rock. Yeah. Like, he was an impact player. You know what I'm saying? So man, for a guy like this, I mean, you have to kind of put that in perspective. Also, you got to remember, this is the 70s, Willie Jack.
Yeah, I think 70s, 80s is where
the 70s. They only playing 14 games a season.
Oh, that's nuts.
Up until until he was 31.
Yeah, until like the second half of his career. Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, up until he turned 31. Hey, that's wild. That was when they were playing 14 games a season, and then they switched it to 16. The boy still was getting 9, 6, 5 interceptions a season. Yeah, so that just makes everything a little bit more impressive. Yeah. When you talk about a guy like him and the impact he had on the league at the cornerback position, man. So definitely got to pay homage to that guy.
Man, exactly, man. This is a player. If he's in Dallas instead of Cincinnati, he got in the Hall 15 years ago. He got in the Hall 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? That same career, but he got to do it in Dallas's defense. You know what I'm saying? Because, man, I'm telling you, man, like some of these guys that fall through the cracks, a guy that plays in Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati, they were competitive, I think, when they say in the 70s, but they were competitive, but they didn't have the cachet of being, they still weren't a forefront team in the league as far as popularity goes. And so I'm just thinking, like, there's just different, there's several different factors that really could have changed the way we look back on a guy like him. So him, Don Coryell, who should have been in there. You can't talk offensive football without saying Don Coryell. I can't believe it's blowing my mind. Like, he just got in. His Don Corey, you know what I'm saying? Ken Riley's another one of those guys, man, that slipped through the cracks, and it's like, man, nah, hell no, how? You know what I mean? Put him in 1, 2, or 3 different cities, and he has that same career. And I'm telling you, he's a guy that maybe, it's just the trajectory of where he's at. But he makes it to football heaven at this time, man. And so I guess it's never too late to get through them gates. You know what I mean? If you make it. But glad they got this one right as well.
Gotcha. All right, Willie Jack. Well, moving on, man. Let's go to the next guy, man. And let's go to speaking of Cowboys, if he played for the Cowboys, let's talk about a Cowboy, man. Let's talk about Chuck Howley, man. Chuck Howley, former linebacker in the NFL, played the majority of his career with the Dallas Cowboys, man. He started his career off with the Chicago Bears, spent 2 seasons there. Well, 1 full season. The second season, he suffered a knee injury which forced him to miss the next year. And also keep in mind, he's a player of the 60s. You know, his first year was in 58, and he went through, played all the way through the 60s up until 73. So of course, technology was different back then. You know what I'm saying? So he not only missed the season that he played in 1959, where he only played 3 games, he missed the rest of that season, then missed the rest of the season after that, and then finally came back in 1961 and started his career over in Dallas, where he had a phenomenal career, man. He ended his time. Of course, he's in the Hall of Fame, 6-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro. He's a Super Bowl champ, and a Super Bowl MVP, man. We're talking about a Super Bowl MVP. Chuck Howley, man.
Yeah,
he's a guy who was pretty much the staple for this defense, playing the linebacker defense for that old Dallas Cowboys defense, man. If you know about the 60s Dallas Cowboys,
was that the Doomsday defense, man? Was that when Dallas was coming to the Doomsday defense, or am I mixing them up with somebody else?
You might absolutely be right, Willie Jack. You might be right. I didn't see the Doomsday. Yep, the Doomsday.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, if it's the 60 Cowboys, that's man. Randy White.
That's when they held the Dolphins to 185 total yards. Man.
Yeah,
185 total yards.
No, that's Ed Tall Jones, Randy White, Chuck Howley. There's another guy that's legendary guy in that defense as well. Yeah, no, there was some players on there now. He was a baller. He was a baller for sure.
Absolutely. And he was one of the main guys, man. To step up for that Dallas Cowboys defense, a leader for this team for a long time, and end up, deservingly found his way in the NFL NFL Hall of Fame finally after so many years, man. Chuck Howley, man. Remember that name? If you need to go look him up, man, go look him up. I'm telling you, man, the guys.
And here's the thing about him as well, man. My dog summed it up pretty good. It's remarkable to see him bounce back, because just like our dog said, his career could have been over after those first 2 years. This is the 60s. This ain't 2011 where AP can, all day AJ Peterson could get his knee, bionically repaired and then come back and run for 2K. This ain't that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like Terrell Davis.
Different.
Think about this.
This different.
Terrell Davis, a 2,000-yard rusher, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, a league and Super Bowl MVP. He couldn't fix his knee in the 90s. Chuck Howell lost his knee in 59, missed 2 years, goes to a different team. And you know what happens? My dog told you, 5-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowlers. He was a Super Bowl MVP. He got that Jerry West treatment. He lost that Super Bowl that he was the MVP of. You know what I'm saying? Him and Jerry West may be the only guys ever to win an MVP of a game you lost, which is, I'm glad they don't do that anymore, because I just can't get on board with that. If we were going to do that, Jalen Hurts could have got that one for me, boy. I mean, you know what I'm saying? If that's who's going to be with the world.
Jalen Hurts definitely was the best player on that field.
That Sunday. I don't care what nobody say. You know what I'm saying? And so, but yeah, man, so it's just a remarkable story. Here's another thing as well. When I saw this, when I looked at the Chuck Howell, because I thought my dog, long time, one of them guys still is Jack Ham, but Chuck Howley has the all-time takeaway record for a linebacker. He's got 43 takeaways. That's 25 interceptions, 18 fumble recoveries. I thought that record, because I'm familiar with that record, but I don't know why I thought Jack Ham held that record, either held that record or broke that record. I thought Jack Ham.
Because you were still a homer. You can tell everybody.
No, it's a fact though. I thought.
I'm messing with you, bro.
For sure. But no, another thing as well, because I thought Jack Ham's record got broke by Derek Brooks. No, not Brooksy. I don't think he had that many fumble recoveries. But what I'm saying is, a guy that affect the style of playmaker he is, 43 takeaways at the linebacker position. Now, this is a guy in the 60s. You know what I mean? So what's that tell you? The type of range and tenacity that he plays with? Know who he sounds like? He might have been Dallas's Luke Kuechly. He might have been Brian Urlacher. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of playmaking ability at a linebacker in a league that ran the ball 40 times a game. Like these are the things that we leaving out, man. Chuck Howell seemed like he was one of the ones. Was he an all-decade member? I would think he has to be an all-decade team member. Five first-team All-Pros. He might have picked up 1 or 2. He didn't make the all-decade team with 5 first-team All-Pros, bro.
That doesn't show.
The decade team only counts 9 years. 60 to 69 is the decade. He was first team for over half the decade. He's not in the all-decade. That's wild. NFL got to do better, man. Hey, that's wild. That's wild, dog. Wow. Hey, Chuck Howell, man, I'm glad they got you through them gates, though, big dog, because they played you on that all-decade team, man. Now I got to go back and do this research. I got to know who was the all-decade linebacker for the 60s.
Hey, you made me think about it, man. I might have to look at that too.
Who? Because you know who did? At most, the guy who's replacing him, at most he only had 4 first-team All-Pros. So who the hell got my seat? And I got more first-team All-Pros and we played at the same time. And I won a Super Bowl MVP and I lost. You know what I had to do to go out there and bust ass and get the MVP of the Super Bowl? That I lost. I set the record. I think that record might still stand. I thought Jack Hammond broke it, but when I researched, it was noted that maybe he still holds that record, 43 takeaways, when he probably had 2 opportunities a game, a season. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, somebody wilding. Shout out to Chuck Howell, man. Football heaven, man. I'm glad they got you through them gates. And somebody owe your family an explanation for your all-decade, big dog. I ain't gonna let it slide for you. I'm riding for you, Chuck Howley. Come on, man. Somebody play that boy.
I'm gonna tell you the first name that popped up, and I said, okay, all right, I gotta
it better be a good one, dog.
It was Dick Buckets.
Oh, Dick Buckets, yeah. Oh, you know what? And I said Dick Buckets earlier when I was talking about tight ends. I meant Mike Dicker. Excuse me, Dick Buckets. Yeah. Earlier for tight ends, Mike Dicker. But yeah, okay, Dick Buckets. Okay. I mean, that's okay. That's pretty legit. Well, no, there's 2 spots. It should be 2 spots, ain't it? Who was the other one? No, you got to go Dick Buckets for one. I'll give Dick Buckets. They didn't have 2 spots?
I'm looking. Hold on.
There's 3 linebackers. Everybody ran. It was old school, so everybody had. It was a real true 4-3 back then. It's got to be at least 2 listed. 5 first teams. That's wild. Oh, my fault, man. I know I'm probably slowing us down. But man, that's wild, man. I can't believe that man ain't all decade.
We'll get to that for sure. We'll get to that, man. But continue to move on through this list, man. We got some more for y'all. We got some more names, and of course, this second half of names, man. These gonna be guys that a lot of y'all are probably a little bit more familiar with. So we're gonna touch on some of those. But before we do that, man, we're gonna come right back, man. We're gonna go take a little bit of a break. We're gonna be right back with the rest of the names, man. Y'all stay right there.
Be right there. Episode of Let the Film Speak, hosted by the wonderfully handsome and intelligent brothers of Let the Film Speak. That's Chop and your main man, Willie Jack. Yeah, feel me. Also brought to you by the 3 amigos. Y'all know them and you love them, man. That's the 3 amigos. That's like, that's share, that's subscribe. That's 3 the hard way. That's a 3-piece spicy. You cannot go wrong. Now, I say the same thing every week, so y'all can say that home with me. I know y'all ready for it. Here we go. It's 3 amigos, but it's 4 parts to this process, big dog. First, you just got to tap in. Like my dog said, man, come in, tap in. Just say what's up, man. Just holler. Hey, what's up, 3 amigos, man? Like, share, subscribe. Hey, Chop, man. Willie, man, what's going on, man? It's cool. I sit on the couch. For sure. Y'all got some cold to drink? Oh, man, my man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, man, I'm a Broncos fan. That's all you got to do. That's it. That's easy. Ain't it, Chop? Come in, sit down, get comfortable. Get a cool adult beverage, and let us know who you ride with, big dog. Then tell a friend. Like, man, it's a nice feeling here, ain't it? Man, it's cool, man. My homeboy was out. He was down. Man, it's cool. I can tell a friend. Tell a friend, man. And you know what? Even better than that, you can tell your friend to tell a friend. Guess what? There's more. You can tell your friend's friend to bring his partner to. Bring one more because we need 4, man. Bring them up into the penthouse. Tap in with your dogs, man. Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. You know we don't wear no watches. We ain't got nowhere else to be but in here kicking football flavor with the fam. And now back to the regularly scheduled program.
All right, Willie Jack. All right, man. So we back at it, man. We back at it. We come with y'all with the second half of the show, man, and we're gonna finish up with this name, and we're gonna jump right back into the Hall of Fame guys. If you missed the first half of the show, man, we touched on a few guys already. Don Coryell, head coach, longtime head coach in NFL. We touched on Ken Riley, longtime cornerback for the Cincinnati Bengals, man, 5th all-time on the interception list, and then also touched on Chuck Howley, man, a former Super Bowl MVP on a losing Dallas Cowboys team, man, and man, had a phenomenal career as well. But now let's jump into some of the guys that played, you know what I'm saying, a little bit. These are guys that are more notable for the people who've or a little bit younger. You know what I'm saying? Some guys that you
More,
guys look
more,
maybe a little bit
more
more familiar
contemporary,
with.
man. More contemporary for our age group.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the words, man. I
You know,
appreciate the
I
words,
do a
Willie Jack.
little
I appreciate
something,
you helping me
something.
out,
Come
man.
on, man.
Yeah, man. The first guy I want to touch on, man, is Dallas Cowboys and Denver Broncos, DeMarcus Ware, man. DeMarcus Ware, longtime edge rusher, man. Of course, 9-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All Pro. He's a Super Bowl champ with the Denver Broncos. On the other side of that, of Von Miller, he is on the All 2000s team, man. A phenomenal player, and I think a player who I think deserved a little bit more than credit than what he really was getting, throughout his time. I think he was always recognized as one of the top edge rushers, man. But I think it was a few times where I would say, man, he was the best in the business. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't think he got there from a lot of people, but in terms of what I watched, the body of work, the consistency, in terms of what he brought to the table, week in and week out, man, DeMarcus Ware was something to deal with, man. So DeMarcus Ware is the next guy we're gonna talk about in this. What's your thoughts on DeMarcus Ware, Willie Jack?
Yeah, no, for sure. Just like you said, man. Well, and now one thing I say, man, I didn't know. You think he doesn't get enough? Were you saying you don't think he gets enough like credit recognition? I thought he was a guy that was uh he was a staple at the position, man. He was like looked at as one of the I don't want to say like godfathers, but he was definitely a guy when uh like I don't know. It's interesting. Like when you said it, got me thinking. I didn't know. I don't know. I gotta think about that because
Well, see, my thing with that is, and maybe it's just the pop in general, because I don't think he ever got the same pop as a Von Miller. You know what I mean? At the peak of his career, like, no, don't get me wrong, he wasn't Von Miller when him and Von Miller were on the same team. Whenever both
hey,
of the
hold
Broncos.
on now. Hey,
No,
if not for
he
Von
wasn't. He
Miller,
wasn't.
he's the MVP of that Super Bowl. He had what 2 sacks as well. I think he forced a fumble. I
No,
think Von had 2 and a half. Yeah, he balled. He could have been
absolutely.
MVP if it went for Von. Yeah, for sure. He balled.
Yeah, but of the Super Bowl. But I'm just talking about that entire. If you put together that entire season, you know what I'm saying, in terms of the production and the pop, DeMarcus Ware was always the guy that was kind of like, he was. It was Von Miller who was getting most of the pop. It's like, he's the best
No, and
of the
that,
two. But
oh, good.
what I'm saying is DeMarcus Ware is like, I feel like he it was always that for him throughout his career. I think it was always times where it was guys that were right up there with him.
Mm.
And for me though, watching him, it's hard for me to say he wasn't the best.
You know,
You know what I'm saying? At certain points in his career, that's all I'm
no,
saying. Like,
and I think he
he
was.
played well.
No, and I think he was. And I'm looking at some of his stats now. He's top 10 all time in sacks. He's ninth, 138 and a half sacks. He's a guy. He's got a 20 sack season. He also has a 19 and a half sack season. I think only Reggie White and JJ Watt have multiple 20 sack seasons. No, and you know what? Maybe Jared Allen. I feel like there was a time where Jared Allen was pushing for that single season sack record, and I think he touched 20 once, him and Justin Houston in the same season. Jared Allen might have got there again, but he had a 20 and a 19 and a half, which is very special. You know what I'm saying? To hit that mark and be so close to it again. Like I said, all decades team member. And here's the thing as well, and I'm glad you tied in and talked about his time in Denver with Von Miller, because that was perfect. You know what that was, bro? That was Stephon Gilmore mentoring Trayvon Diggs. I want to see what Trayvon Diggs looks like if he gets to play with Stephon Gilmore for 2 years. Because I saw what 2 years of DeMarcus Ware did for Von Miller. And I'm sure if we talk to Von, or if you hear Von talk about DeMarcus, that time was invaluable. And Von was a guy that special athletically. There's nobody that fast, that loose, that bendy off the edge, man. And like that's a generational guy. I can't stand when people be using this generation. No, Von was generational. We still haven't seen him in Von. You know what I mean? Like Micah Parsons is his own animal. There's not another Vine yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so a very special guy, and to play with the guy as dominant and as technically savvy, and just as there could have been no better mentor for him at that time than DeMarcus Lawrence, than DeMarcus Lawrence, than DeMarcus Ware. And so I think that was a phenomenal pairing. I'm glad that D Ware got his bowl. And you know what? Thinking about it, man, I think you do have a point. And I think maybe it's part of his personality. He's a very kind of low key, laid back. He's very spiritual, religious man. He's he at the Hall of Fame game, he sung the national anthem. You know what I'm saying? And so he's not a guy that he's a guy that kills you with kindness, and so maybe he doesn't get he didn't necessarily maybe have the raw intimidation factor that guys that other guys who his contemporaries at the time, like he wasn't in your face intimidating like a Warren Sapp. These are his classmates, guys that were in the league. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So he didn't have that style of personality. Also, he was on those underwhelming Cowboys teams as well. I'm thinking about everything you said, and it does make sense now I think about it, because he was on those Cowboys teams that every year they should have won the Super Bowl and they don't get close, but he's balling, or you know what I mean? Like they always just feel the letdown. So he was right after that championship run, and a lot of his greatness there was felt like it was letdowns because Dallas got. They got full on those Super Bowl, you know what I mean? And so all of that. So now that's a good point you made. Now, the more I thought about it, I feel
even then, I know you mentioned his 19 and a half sack year. Like, that's a tremendous season, right? Like, that's a really, really good season.
Yeah, that's a career year for a lot of guys if you make it that high.
Jared Allen had 22. So, who was getting all that pop? Jared Allen. You know what I'm saying?
Jared Allen's also got personality, though. He had, it was business in the front, it was party in the back, the mullet. You know what I'm saying? He was a wild boy.
Right.
He was partying.
And that's all I'm saying. And that's what
Strahan. Yeah, Michael Strahan. You know what I mean? A rambunctious leader, a loud, boisterous guy. You know what I'm saying? Like the Warren Sapp. That's yeah.
So for me, I would say, and this is my opinion, I would put, of course, DeMarcus Ware above both of those guys that you just mentioned. Yes, I would.
I'm not going above Strahan. I don't think I'm going above Strahan.
I would do it. I would do it because I think he actually was, but like because because of his personality and because of how loud and all of that stuff, a lot of those other guys were.
But check this out.
A lot of guys see that and it's like, oh no, that's the guy right there. No, that's the guy. When it's really this guy over here that's quietly and humbly, he's really better, more technically savvy in the way that he goes about it. But this guy, because it's this situation, because of how it played out, he gets the nod because of so he's known. He's this about it.
I can get on. Well, and also another thing as well is that he also still has the benefit of being in Dallas, the largest football market in this league. You know what I mean? Since they redeemed America's team in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? So the Cowboys are the NFL's Lakers. So you know what I'm saying? So you already get light and shine that other players just don't get because you got the star on your helmet. So it was a benefit of him as well, still being in Dallas. This is the thing. I'll go Ware over Allen. I can't go Ware over Strahan. In the same division, in the same time, he was better, he was more dominant, and he elevated his team and got his team over the hump that DeMarcus Ware never was able to. So I can't go him over Strahan. And I think that Strahan was better. I think that Strahan was more dominant against the run. Ware wasn't soft against the run. He wasn't. But I would say that Strahan
and see that's what I'm talking about, man. Like I don't think people giving DeMarcus Ware the credit he deserved. Like
I like D-Ware.
And here's the other part: Strahan was mildly inconsistent. Strahan had seasons where he go up down in terms of his production, whereas DeMarcus Ware he stayed. Like it wasn't seasons where he was going below 10, 11 sacks. He was consistently there, and when he's on, that's when you see them 19 and a half, 20. 15, like those were the seasons that he had and was still leading. He led the league 3 times in tackles for loss, you know what I'm saying, and that sort of thing too. So it's like,
yeah, but
I just don't think he gets enough credit, man. The guy DeMarcus Ware was for real.
No.
Like
I think he gets credit, but I don't think he wasn't asked to do the things that Strahan was asked to do, though. Like being such a dominant force in the run game, so it does take away from his rush. In that aspect, maintaining the level of dominance that he did as a strong side run defender again in the league, man. You know what I'm saying? Like those 90s, that's Emmett's Cowboys. Emmett had to see Michael Strahan twice a year, every year. You know what I'm saying? So like he went up against like these still dominant run defenses, man, and was one of the better all-around combo defense. I think Strahan sometimes gets a little overlooked a little bit, man, for just how dominant that he really was on both sides of that coin. But no, I mean, I like that take on Ware, though, man. I definitely well deserved as well. But yeah, no, I do like your take on Ware, man. I think he was a guy that for a few reasons probably wasn't as popular. You know, it kind of like when London Fletcher. Well, people like to talk about London Fletcher and Ray Lewis. Well, Ray Lewis had a dance. Is the things that people say, and so how.
I hate it.
Yeah, I don't like that comparison, but I'm saying, like, as far as just the argument or the things that people say is guys like London Fletcher, Zach Thomas, maybe we can play. Well, Brian Urlacher made the Hall and he had his own claim to fame in his regard. But guys like Zach Thomas and London Fletcher, I've heard it said that, well, these guys just didn't dance. Even in Pittsburgh, we had a guy that we felt really good about for a long time, James Ferrier. Well, James Ferrier didn't dance. You know what I mean? And so he didn't just attract that that pop attention, that pop culture attention, like you were saying, which is similar to a DeMarcus Ware. But no, man, great player for sure. And especially if you're talking the modern day edge, him, Derek Thomas, and then like I said, we get into the Von Millers and we know the names, we know those guys. Well, and I guess the guy I could have started with LT, the guy who probably set that table for all of them. But no, great player, well deserved.
I'm gonna have to call Coach Ford on you, man. Coach Ford taught you how to be a defensive end off of DeMarcus Ware tape, man.
Hey, because I couldn't beat Michael Strahan. Think about it. I couldn't beat Michael Strahan. DeMarcus Ware couldn't.
No. It wasn't tailored to you. He taught all y'all. When we was in those defensive meets, man, he showed y'all DeMarcus Ware tape. He showed y'all that boy playing the run and said it is the way it's supposed to be set. Hey man, y'all better stop playing, man.
I don't know, man. He showed me a little. He showed me a little Spreeny. You know what I'm saying? With a little. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of it. That's another story, man. Shout out to Joe Fo, man. That's another story.
Shout out to Joe Fo, man. Shout out to Joe Fo. Let's keep on pushing, Willie Jack, man. Let's go on to one of my favorites, man. One of my favorite guys, my favorite players to ever play. Of course, this is my home. We just talked about the edge rusher, my guy coming off the edge. That's Willie's territory, man. But a guy in my territory I like to talk about, man, is the real Revis, man. And I can't tell you the amount of times me and Willie Jack have been going back and forth about the real Revis. This is one thing. If y'all know about Willie Jack, this is one thing Willie Jack likes to do, man. If I tell him about a guy I like, man, he don't care who he is, man. He's gonna troll him. Unless he's a Steeler, he's gonna troll him every chance he get. Unless I come out and say, oh man, TJ Watt, oh man, Joey Porter, oh man, this Steeler, that Steeler. If it's not a Steeler,
it ain't that bad, man. Don't do that, man. It ain't like that.
If it ain't a Steeler, man, my guy, he gonna come for me. And he gonna be watching every single play and let a guy mess up one time. Let one miss a block, miss a tackle. You know what I'm saying? Accidentally trip and fall. Oh, man, you see that? Oh, yeah, TJ Watt would have never. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, never. Hey, man, when the game on the line, he going to fall down like that? Jalen Ramsey? Come on, man.
See, what he just did was a prime example. Dude just put the game on the line. He could have failed in the first quarter. He just put the game on the line. That's the type of stuff I got to deal with. But anyway, man, the real Revis, man, he makes the Hall of Fame this year, man.
First ballot.
7-time Pro Bowler.
First ballot.
You said, yeah, first ballot Hall of Famer, 7-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, 4-time first team All-Pro. Of course, this is a Super Bowl champ, made it to the Super Bowl with the Steelers. Not the Steelers, the Patriots. And he's on the all 2010s decade team there, man. So a phenomenal career. You talk about a lineup of receivers that all had to go against the real Revis, and he put up one of the best performances that you've seen ever, probably in a cornerback in one season. Like the lineup of guys that he went against, and coach pretty much said, hey, man, going over there, you got him. We're going to design the rest of the defense to guard these other 10 guys. You go take care of him. And the real Revis executed that game plan like none other. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, one of my favorite players, a guy that came in super competitive, got the job done. Great at technique, was a great athlete, man. He just when you're talking about a bumper run man-to-man corner, man, it don't get much better than the real Revis, man. The real Revis, so I'm paying my homage to him, man, and his Hall of Fame career, man. He done it in a way where I don't know if we've ever seen a cornerback, be as dominant in him and that short span. Of course, has still had a good rest of his career and was a great player. Even outside of those 3 top years that a lot of people like to talk about, but definitely deserving of Hall of Fame, man, and was completely dominant during his time, man. So
let me tell you why. Let me tell you outside of everything you just said, why the real.
Here we go. I'm gonna warn y'all right now, y'all. Here we go.
Here we go. Let me tell y'all another reason he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Darrelle Revis was a guy that forced teams to pay him his value. You know what I'm saying? He's a guy that went up against the establishment and won. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Jets. Y'all ain't just see what I did in 09? No, I ain't going to say Randy. One hand in the end zone. Outside of that.
No, he definitely did Randy like that. No, he did Randy.
Man, hey, you had the chance now. Chad
Oh
Johnson,
no,
Steve Smith,
but don't be telling
Terrell
lies.
Owens. Now some of these guys were. Chad Johnson was back half of Chad Johnson. I want to be fair about it. It was that back half of Chad Johnson. He was still very good, but it was that back half of Chad Johnson. It was that back half of T.O. But these guys were still leaders at this time as well. You got Steve Smith. He saw man. There's a plethora of guys that were amongst the top 15 comfortably in this league, and they had to come to Revis Island. They had to pay them dues, man, like everybody else, man. And he definitely put cuffs on boys, man. And so I didn't see. Like I said, man, I was dealing with my stuff. I wanted to watch the Hall of Fame thing. I didn't actually get to watch. I had to go back and watch clips. But one of the things that he said in his speech that I liked it, and I liked what he said, and I appreciated it as well. He said that Deion Sanders is Michael Jordan, and he was Kobe Bryant. So that was what he was trying to do, and I like that because let's say if we're talking about especially for like our generation, and because I can't attest to the bump prowess of a guy like Ken Riley or what I'm saying or Lynn Barney or what I'm saying some of these other guys, you know what I mean. So I can't necessarily do that, but if we're talking right now, that's like I can't quite debate the greatness of Dr. J. I could talk MJ and Kobe all day though, and so that comparison really resonated with me because and I see it. So if I asked any of us right now, man, you need one guy to go play cat coverage. Everybody's gonna say Prime. Hey, you go get this dude. The 10 of us will figure out these other guys. We'll figure something. You just stay in his chest, bump, and see if he can live. You know what I'm saying? Deion Sanders is gonna be the first guy that a lot of us gonna name. The next guy is probably gonna be Darrelle Revis. You know what I mean? And then what's one of Kobe's big claims to fame was he was the closest thing we ever seen to Jordan. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So I did like when he said that, I was like, that's I like that. You know what I'm saying? I like that he said that. And also like I said, man, pays homage to one of the guys who inspired him as well. But no, man, phenomenal corner, man. Me and Chop definitely had some battles, man. I like to to dig out, I got to bring out the greatest of my dog, man. I got, what I'm saying? But great player, only 25 interceptions. And that's one of and not a knock, but not a tremendous ball hawk, but the style of play that he played in and how he did it, his style of play didn't necessarily align with like high ball production, high turnover production, because he was a guy that stayed in your hip pocket and took away don't worry about PBUs and breakups. He canceled attempts. You know what I'm saying? You just couldn't throw the ball over there. And so I wanted to point that out because when you only see the 25 interceptions, like say if somebody were just to look at that, especially talking about Ken Riley with 65, he's got 40 less picks than this guy. Well, he did it a different way. You got to get the ball thrown at you to get 65 of them things. Couldn't throw it, Revis. Not in that time. You know what I'm saying? And so it is what it is. But no, man, definitely well deserved. First ballot. And like I said, man, just like my dog Chop said, definitely a guy that set the standard as a bump man, corner man for his generation. Phenomenal, man. Phenomenal player. So well deserved.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. And we're going to keep on pushing, man. We're going to stay in the cornerback room. But we're going to go to Tampa Bay this time. We're going to go talk about a Tampa Bay corner, man, a cover 2 corner, and Rondé Barber, man, one of my favorite guys. He played he was a 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, a Super Bowl champ, man. We all remember that legendary, Tampa Bay Bucks defenses, man, with Warren Sapp and Derrick Brooks, Rondé Barber and John Lynch and all those guys, man, those key figures that were huge and playing that cover 2 defense. And one of the defenses that our former Coach Ford, man, liked to run, man. He really liked to run.
You my boy, Blue.
That blue, you know what I'm saying? That blue, you know what I'm saying? And that was a defense he really liked to run a lot. And in order to run that defense successfully, man, you had to have a few different things on that defense in order for it to go well. You had to have athletic linebackers. You had to have a
win from the rush, baby. 4 up front got to win, baby. I said the 4 up front got to win. Athletic linebackers, and you got to have physical corners. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yep. And you gotta have physical corners, man. Corners that ain't afraid to jump in there in that run game, that can get off blockers, man, and make plays on the outside. And that's what Rondé Barber was. That was his thing. He made the 2000s team. He's on the all-decade team there, man. And that was his thing. And he was a very, very valuable piece to that Tampa Bay Bucks defense. You need all those pieces to work in order to have a successful and solid defense. But if all those pieces work, though, if they do, man, you can play that all day long. I don't have to switch nothing. That can be your safe coverage. You know what I'm saying? Eagle. Willie Jack know what
Hey,
that
come
is.
on,
But
man.
that's it. That's just safe defense. If all else fails, we get confused. They start doing all these motions or whatever. You know what? Eagle,
Hey, matter of fact,
or
y'all see what's
whatever
going
they say.
on, man.
We can run. We can run this cover 2, and it's gonna work every single time. No matter what you do, we have something in cover 2, and our guys up front are nasty enough to get the job done up front. And that's what Ronnie Barber was really great at, man. When it came to running bubbles or screens, hitches, anything in that area where he was going to be at, you can forget about it. You know what I'm saying? You can forget about that. He also had a nose for the ball, man. 15 forced fumbles throughout his career. Finished his career also with 47 interceptions, and 4 defensive touchdowns, man. That type of defense, they just had a knack for not only getting after the ball, being very, very physical, but turning that ball over too. And Rondé Barber, like I said, was a very, very a very huge and he had a very huge impact on that particular defense, man. Rondé Barber, Hall of Fame 2022.
No, and here's another thing as well we got to clarify. So that vaunted Tampa Bay defense, their version of cover 2, the Tampa 2. So it was their own specific version of that coverage as well. And so there's a lot more response. It's really it's a Tampa 2, it's a cover 3 defense. It's a disguised cover 3. Except now, instead of having 2 corners and a free safety be the third, that free safety is no longer your middle defender. Now he takes a side, and your middle linebacker, his responsibility is, he's running, and he's that deep middle guy. He's covering that deep seam. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to that being the primary responsibility of one of those safeties, the ones that's not
rolling. And we just talked about the play, I think last week, Willie Jack, or a couple weeks ago when we talked about linebackers and we taled about Fred
Warner. That play, exactly.
Carrying CD Lamb down the middle of the field and being right there in stride and in coverage.
That's Tampa 2.
Having a linebacker like that in the middle of your field helps you and allows you to play that type of defense.
Exactly.
Man. So we're seeing defenses run that today.
No, you got to be a guy to do that. You got to be a Derek Brooks. You got to be a Fred Warner. You got to be a Luke Kuechly. You know what I mean? So everybody ain't built like that. And that's what makes a guy like Fred Warner so special when we talk about on our show, man. It's a good call out right there. But yeah, so their version of that defense. And here's a guy as well that gets overlooked and his name gets forgotten. Monte Kiffin. Monte Kiffin innovated that Tampa 2 defense. And we saw how dominant it was and how for a time, the NFL tends to be, it's follow the leader. You know what I mean? And so somebody starts going spread, we get spread. Remember when Wildcat was the thing that was in, and now 4 or 5 teams, now everybody wants to wear Wildcat. So Tampa 2 had that style of run as well. And you know what it's similar to, to make it the example more contemporary for maybe younger listeners or guys who wasn't into the game back then, like that then. Remember when Pete Carroll brought in his press bell cover 3, and then half the league took that defense? They're just now getting out of that defense. The league is just now moving away from Pete Carroll's press bell 3, or let's say like over these last 2 years or so. You know what I'm saying? And so for a time, like his defense was looked at in that way. You know what I mean? For what they did, and it really was. It became. Every defense had to incorporate it in their scheme. Maybe not as your primary coverage, but you had to incorporate it because of the things that it allowed for you. But I do like the things you said about Rondé Barber, man. He's a guy for me. We had talked about him before, and I had thought he was a Hall of Very good guy. He really was one of those guys. He's kind of one of the blueprints for like the modern day combo nickel corner safety. He was a very early inclination of a guy like Tyrann Mathieu, I want to say, like a guy who lines up in a slot. He's versatile. He could cover. He's a movable chess piece. He's a guy. He's got 47 interceptions. He's got 28 sacks. He's got 47 interceptions. He's got 28 sacks. He's got 88 tackles for loss. This is a 5'9" slot cornerback. So you have to understand like just how dynamic and valuable that is. And so that's in going, even saying that right now. And I'm thinking, okay, I consider him more so Hall of Very good. I was wrong. He's an all-decade team member. I think for me, if you're an all-decade team guy, so you were the best guy, one of the best guys of your decade when you played, then I think that should get you in a Hall. And so he checks that box. Look, these numbers, these versatility, man. 47 picks, 28 sacks, 88 tackles for loss. There's lifetime defensive ends that don't get 88 tackles for loss. There's lifetime. Ray Lewis doesn't have 88 tackles for loss in his career. Ray Lewis. Think about that. He's got him and Warren. He may have as many tackles for loss as Warren Sapp. You know what I'm saying? He was a 5'9" slot cornerback. And so he was a special player. I owe him this apology. I'm giving it to him publicly because I told you was all very good publicly on this show. Now that I know better, I'm doing better. And I'm going to give you your respect and your flowers as you deserve, Rondé Barber. You know what I'm saying? Congrats, well deserved, man. Put your jacket on and do your, you know what I'm saying, do your one too, my boy.
Gotcha. And I appreciate you for saying that on air, Willie Jack, because that's one of those guys.
You wasn't going. You was like, Willie, come on, dog. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I don't know. I was like, man, I don't know. Because he was the third wheel, you know what I'm saying? Because that defense started with Sapp, Brooksy, and then a lot of people would probably lean Lynch, that enforcer in the middle that really, you know what I'm saying? And so he was probably the third or fourth guy on like such a loaded, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, man, I don't know.
And I feel you, but at the same time, it's like when you really put together that Tampa 2 defense, man, you understand the importance of his role in it. You know what I'm saying? And I think when you look at it, all of those guys had very, very valuable roles. Each and every one of them that we named at their spots. You know what I'm saying? Even a guy like Simeon Rice that came along and was playing freshman on edge. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Giving him a little bit of credit.
Booger McFarland, man, on ESPN making me laugh, man. Booger McFarland was on that defense. Booger's a character.
Man, that's crazy. But like the Warren, we know Warren Sapp is the guy on that defensive line. We know Derek Brooks was the guy, you know what I'm saying, at that second level. John Lynch was at the back level. And then on outsides, on both sides, Rondé Barber was the guy, man, to help put it together. So, man, it's all of those guys had a very, very valuable roles on that defense, man. And they was doing their thing. They played it to the highest level, man. They made it They took Brad Johnson, man. Brad Johnson got him a Super Bowl, man. Brad Johnson, offense led by Brad Johnson, Michael Pittman, and Keyshawn Johnson, man. Those were the three guys.
All Scott now. Oh, no. Am I tripping? No, yeah, them Bucks. All Scott now, baby. Hey, when All Scott went on that Super Bowl team?
Michael Pittman was the guy. Nope.
Warrick Dunn went on that Super Bowl team?
Warrick Dunn and Mike Allstott was before Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman was the guy in that back.
Oh, no, I remember Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman still probably has the biggest arms you've ever seen on a running back. Michael Pittman, jacked. You know what I'm saying? I definitely remember Michael Pittman, but I don't know why I thought Allstott and Dunn were the guys on that team. No, you're probably right though, man. Because Michael Pittman had a time. Now I'm telling you, man, he had them 24-inch pythons, boy. He had them Hulk Hogan arms, boy. Y'all might not know about that, but yeah, dude wasn't playing no games on curl day, boy. For sure.
Hey, not a game at all, boy.
For sure, but man, hey, well deserved, man. Congrats again to Rondé, man. Hey, you done made it to football heaven, man. Put your jacket on and do your do, man. So shout out to you, bro.
Absolutely, man. Let's move on to them big uglies, man. Let's move up to them trenches, Willie Jack, and let's talk about long-time Cleveland Brown great, man, Joe Thomas, man. Let's talk about Joe Thomas. Of course, a 10-time Pro Bowler, man, 6-time All-Pro. He's on the All-Decade 2010s team, man. A record 10,363 consecutive snaps, man. Throughout his career, unheard of throughout that time. The model of consistency. I'm talking about, hey, you can count on it, man. When I'm over here at left tackle, don't worry about it. We straight. We good for 11 straight seasons. Can you imagine being a quarterback and you know for a fact, one, he's gonna be there. Two, ain't nobody gonna be close to me on this side. And three, that's just it. Like I know when he's here and in the lineup, I ain't gotta worry about nobody else getting to me, pass rushing on that side because Joe Thomas got it locked down. And he had it locked down and was probably the best tackle in the NFL for, I would say, maybe a five-year stretch. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. With just his consistency and his ability to just, shut down his side and do his job.
No, and he's another guy, first ballot as well. We got to say that, well deserved. And he's a guy, man, never had a winning season in his career.
Crazy.
Never had a winning season. Never even played it. Well, I should have said never had a playoff appearance first, and then on top of it, not even ever getting a chance to even get to the dance. Never had a winning season. And I think the highest win total season he played in, was it his rookie year or something like that? But the reason why I say all that is because we like to look at these things in the vacuum. Like, well, no, players got to play. It's hard to show up every day knowing you're gonna get your head bust. I don't care who you are, man. I don't care who you are. Knowing you're gonna get your head bust, and that man didn't miss a snap in 9.5 years. 9.5 years, did not miss one snap. That record, 10,363 consecutive snaps, it ended because he dislocated a shoulder. If it was an injury that he just couldn't go. You know what I mean? So just like my dog Chop said, man, there's no ability like availability. Joe Thomas was not only the poster child for that, but more so than just showing up, but showing up and being dominant. You know what I mean? And so now he played in a time, man, where there were some pretty good tackles. I think now the one thing I will say about Joe Thomas, he was a pass pro specialist, and so I don't think he wasn't nearly as dominant in the run. So I think and especially at that time, like I'm a big Jonathan Ogden fan because he was also a mountain of a man that shouldn't be able to move that well. You know what I'm saying? But he was excellent in pass. You know what I'm saying? So I think. For me, I think I probably prefer.
I'm Orlando Pace.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Big Pace. He's an Ohio State Buckeye. You know what I'm saying? It's the home team. You know what I'm saying? So I fool with Pace. You know what I mean? But yeah, and then the other guy I like a lot, Walter Jones. I'm a big Walter Jones guy. Yeah, and so these are guys that are considered probably his contemporaries. But I think as far as consistency and pass protection, it's hard to argue against Joe Thomas, man. It just really is. He really set that table and was the prototype of what you want from a blindside pass protecting tackle. And so another guy, first ballot, well deserved. Interesting story. He was the number one pick of his draft. He didn't go to the draft. He was out fishing with his pops. He went on a fishing trip with his pops, man. After graduating from Wisconsin, him and his pops out fishing. He gets a call on the boat. He's the number one pick. And then I seen in the interview, I think at the Hall of Fame game, the trophy fish, or he said like the trophy fish that he caught that day was a brown trout. Drafted number one by the Browns, and didn't go to the, he didn't go to the draft. But it's just a funny corollary. And then also, man, inappropriate humor. But brown trout is another term used. Man, you gotta be in the country a little bit to know about them brown trout, man. If you gotta, I'll let that go, man. Y'all don't know, man. Y'all don't know about that, man. Y'all in the city, but y'all know about that, man. Y'all know about, you know what I'm saying, that. But that's it's funny. But no, man. Congrats again, first ballot, well deserved. 10,363 consecutive, didn't miss one snap in 9.5 years. Y'all don't hear me. The boy didn't take a water break in any game in 9.5 years. Because you know what I'm saying? Like, man, look, D-line, linebackers. Hey, look, man, coach, I got 4 good rushes in me, big dog. Hey, man. Hey, I need a blow. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know, man. Hey, Chop, you get that pat. Hey, Chop, hey, coach, go get me now. Go get me. And when Coach Lee, you out there for those 2 extra plays, boy, it feel like 2,000 extra. Like, Coach, hey, man, I need a blow, dog. I ain't got it. Joe didn't have none of that. 10,363 straight, boy. That's crazy impressive. Also, yeah, well deserved, man. Shout out to Joe Thomas.
That's next level for sure. Next level. All right, man. On to the next guy on this list, man. The next guy on this list is another Thomas, but he's not a Joe Thomas. He plays on the opposite side of the ball, man. He was a linebacker, best known for his career with the Miami Dolphins, man. And that's Zach Thomas. Zach Thomas is the next guy on this list, inducted into the Hall of Fame, man. Played a total of 13 seasons, 5 All-Pros, 7 Pro Bowls, a 1996 Rookie of the Year, man. Led the league in tackles 2 times. But routinely, especially when he played full seasons, man, routinely stayed around 140, 150 total tackles throughout the season, man. And he did that year in and year out. A little bit of a smaller linebacker, man, but I'm talking about from sideline to sideline, his toughness, you know what I'm saying, getting after ball carriers, and tackling them behind the line of scrimmage and just doing his job as a middle linebacker. Zach Thomas was that guy, man. Also on a member of the 2000s All-Decade team, man. So phenomenal career by a guy like Zach Thomas. And hey, man, it's we talked a little bit earlier in terms of his comparisons between, or people comparing and say, oh man, he just didn't dance, comparison to maybe a Ray Lewis or something like that. I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely a damn good linebacker throughout his career. Maybe him and London Fletcher are probably are more comparable, but a damn good linebacker for sure.
No, and that's what I was thinking, man, because the 2000s all decade. I know Lewis got one of those spots, and I was thinking, okay, like if when you said it, it made me think like, was it Thomas next? And yeah, I mean that does make sense, man. Because he was another guy that I considered Hall of very good, honestly. But honestly,
Yeah.
but like I said, but that's my own ignorance or whatever the case. I didn't realize he was a all decade guy, but it makes sense. Those 2000s. So I mean, if you're not Ray Lewis, okay, I can see Zach Thomas. He did have the five-time first team All Pro, 7 Pro Bowls, 1,700 tackles, 20 sacks, 17 picks. Check this out: 74 tackles for a loss for a guy that was a 5'10", 240-pound missile. You know what I'm saying? He ain't got as many tackles for losses as Rondé Barber. You know what I mean? So that's still that's a crazy stat from Rondé, man. So I definitely still owe Rondé some.
So he's a member of the second team. Let me go ahead and list these guys off.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to find these lists. I'm gonna have to go back into the other one too. So that first team of the 2000s, the all 2000s,
Was it Junior Seau?
That was Ray Lewis, Urlacher, and Derek Brooks. Well deserving, of course.
Oh yeah, no, Brooksy. I'm tripping. Yeah, Brooks. We just talked about that, but yeah, Lewis and Brooks. Okay, that's what I was thinking. That's what something didn't feel right. I was like, man, hold on, man. There's another guy we missing.
Yeah. That second team was Zach Thomas, DeMarcus Ware, and Willie. Can you guess who's that third guy?
Hold on. Hold on. Because DeMarcus Ware, they had him listed at linebacker because they don't have the league is still antiquated that we just don't have edges. So tell me, is he a stack guy or is he an edge guy?
I guess you can call him an edge guy.
Okay, an edge guy, DeMarcus Lawrence, Zach Thomas. Who's another edge guy? So not a
kind of.
See, now you're going back and forth, dog. Is he stacked the edge? Come on, man.
Well, okay, well you tell me because he's a Steeler.
In the 2000s, is that Joey Porter?
Joey Porter.
Oh yeah, no, he's an edge. Yeah, Joey Porter's an edge. Yeah, Joey Porter's an edge. Hey, shout out to my dog Peasy, man. I didn't realize Peasy was all decade. Let's go, Peasy.
Joey Porter was nice, man.
Hey, he low key was, man. He really did.
Nice. But yeah, that was your 2000s all decade team there, man.
Okay, yeah, no, okay, that makes sense. I like it. That's why, Brooks is who I was trying to think of. That's why I was like, man, there's somebody we looking over somebody big. I'm like, wait a minute, Brooksy. Okay, that's who it was. I'm not gonna lie, I thought Urlacher. No, you're right. I guess it was the back half of the back half of those 2000s.
Urlacher's on it. Yeah. Urlacher's on
it.
It's 3 guys.
He had been the 10s, but no, because he came in like the middle of the 2000s, and then he got into the 10s a little bit. Okay, so I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so those are guys that made that list, man, for sure. All right, man. On to our last guy. Our last guy going into the that made the Hall of Fame, man. And he's a long time Eagle. Played 12 seasons. Played a little bit of defensive tackle, nose, and defensive end, man. He's a 2-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, a 1981 Defensive Player of the Year, man. We talking about Joe Klecko, man. Joe Klecko. Actually, I ain't put my thing up here. But Joe Klecko, man, phenomenal career with the Eagles, man. A guy that rotated throughout that. I'm sorry. Why did I say the Eagles? The Jets. Why did I say the Eagles? My bad. But the Jets rotated up and down that defensive line. And if you think about guys that do that now, or guys that did that more recently, you talk about your Richard Seymours, your J.J. Watts, your what's my guy, the Bennett. They used to do that a lot with over in Seattle.
Oh yeah, Michael Bennett.
Guys that were able to be versatile amongst that defensive line and do a lot of those different things. Led the league in sacks in 1981 with 20 and a half, man, and was a very, very dominant force on this New York Jets defense, man. Joe Klecko, he finally gets his turn and makes it into the Hall of Fame. Now, he is also one of those guys where I'm like,
man, look at oh, okay. I didn't know if you was throwing it to me. My fault. Okay, yeah, my fault.
Yeah,
let me look.
My guy said it the best. Hold on, I'm gonna pass it on to you real quick. My guy said it the best in prime time. One of my favorite players, man. He said, man, there's a room in the NFL Hall of Fame, and everybody doesn't make it to the room. The other part he said was, all right, come on now, we gotta stop just letting anybody in here. You know what I mean? Now I don't want to completely dismiss this guy Joe Klecko and his
hashtag
respectfully. There are some guys who we will get to in just a second who I feel like could have possibly got their before you, man. Before you, and maybe there's something that they need to do in terms of this Hall of Fame list and say, all right, man, if you've been in the running for so many years, you automatically get out. I don't know if that would make much sense because after so many years, you ain't made it, man.
No, like in baseball does that. Like, man, you get
make
is it 20 years or 30, whatever that is? Yeah, like, if we can't get you in and you get 2 decades to get in, bro. If we can't get you in 2 decades, my boy, like, hey, man, I don't know. I don't know what changed over these last 20 years, man. What changed over these last 25? You know what I'm saying? So, but picking up on what you said, man, this is the one that I hate to knock a man's greatness and to take away or to chip away at such an outstanding accomplishment that making it to the Hall of Fame is. But this is the one that, man, it just don't tickle my fancy. You know what I'm saying? Like it don't sit right with me.
And that's the thing, Willie Jack. It's like you don't want to disrespect him, but you also don't want to disrespect the other guys.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, man, we ain't trying to disrespect no players, but don't disrespect the guys that's in here either. He wasn't one of them ones, man. I'm gonna just say it like it is. He wasn't one of them ones. That year, his first team All-Pro season, that 20.5 season was an outlier season as far as production. Now he gets a lot of credit for being a guy that they moved around and used a lot, and he went up and down the line and did all these type of things. And I'm here to tell you, man. Sometimes guys move around because you can't stop them anywhere they go, and sometimes guys move around because he's just a glue guy that you could just kind of stick him in a place. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like J.J. Watt moved up and down the line. That ain't why Joe Flacco moved up and down the line. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't. I'm looking at these stats. I see 78 career stats. First off, Joe Flacco getting to the Hall of Fame guarantees me that Debo James Harrison is going to the Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? Now that's not even a discussion because me and you have talked about that. It was going to be one of those things where, he got a later start to his career. You know what I mean? So then how long did it, I don't want to hear none of that. Joe Flacco can't hold James Harrison's nothing. It socks. You know what I'm saying? So Debo's getting in. So that makes me feel good by there. But I'm looking at this production.
So that makes me feel good there.
Oh, you damn right it does. If he's in, Debo's in. We got one, baby. Still a nation. But that 20.5 sack year, which was a phenomenal year, the guy on the other side of him, Mark Gastineau, set the single season record that same year. So that was just a phenomenal year for that defense because the record that Michael Strahan broke in 92, maybe it was 92, but Gastineau set that record 21.5, either 21.5 or 22. I think maybe it's 22 because then Strahan broke it with 22.5. Gastineau set that record that same year. So the guy on the other side had 22. He had 20.5. And then you know what happened after that 20.5? He disappeared. He had 2 sacks. Then next year he had 2 sacks. Next year 6.5. Next year 3, 7.5, 4, 1, 0. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, it felt like a guy who had an amazing outlier year, but was never, I can't say, but my perspective is different because I got to look back and look this guy up. I didn't see him while I was happening. And so that's unfair to him as well. But when you get in today, I can look at you with today's lenses because you didn't get in back then. When they seen you fresh, you didn't get in. You got in today. You got in my time, Playboy. So I get to look at it with my eyes. I don't know, man. Hey, I don't know, man. I don't know, big dog. That's all I'm saying, man. Hey, congrats to, hey, man. You knew a guy that knew a guy, man. They looked you in, they slid you in the back, man. I ain't mad at you. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I'm gonna keep it. We giving our honest opinions on how we feel about it, man. Hey, this is let the film speak, baby. You know what I'm saying? One dominant outlier year, man. I don't know if that cut it. Take away everybody that's been in this, everybody that's been in the hall this year or the year before. Let's take away their best season and tell me they're still great. Take away them 20.5 sacks. Who is that dude? Who is that dude besides having a cool name? Because there is something that cool about Joe Flacco. Hey, that sound. hey, Joe probably he sound like one of them dudes that he sound like he was a dude that, man, you want him when it's time to throw hands. Man, hey man, Flacco, man, hey man, they over at Wilder, man. Flacco just, you know what I'm saying? He probably was cool. You know what I'm saying? He sound like a guy that's with
JK. Man, hey man, go call JK, man. Get JK over here, man.
Man, yeah, hey man, he boy Wilder, man. Yeah, you know, Joe sound like a dude to show up and set it off. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't mad at you, Joe. I'm gonna take away them 2.5 sacks, and you know he might be, bro. I'm not even gonna disrespect. He's a Hall of Famer. I was just gonna name like a lower or mid tier player, but that's probably gonna go too hard. So I'm gonna get out of there. But I want to take away that season and tell me who he is. We don't know his name today, or you know what I'm saying? The player in his time, they know him, but his name doesn't stand the test of time. We take that year away. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that could be a Hall of Fame player, one of the greatest to ever do it, because he was truly special, dominant, or elite for 1 year. And then in his best year, he was the second guy. He won the defensive player of the year that LT Lawrence Taylor was the defensive player of the year that year. The guy on the other side of him had more sacks that set the league record, and then he was the next guy. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't. That one is the one that doesn't make sense to me, man. But like I said, all told, you know what I'm saying? It ain't Willie's Hall, it ain't Chops Hall, man. It's the NFL Hall of Fame. So hey, you got in. Congratulations to you, man. Shout out to your family, and you know what I'm saying. But if you're gonna ask my opinion, man, there it is. You know what I'm saying? But hey, doesn't take away from his accomplishment, man. So you know.
All right, Willie Jack. Well, since we went through the Hall of Fame list, man, and we start talking about Joe Klecko and our opinion on if he should have made it or not, this is probably a perfect time to talk about some of the guys who just missed, man. Some of the Hall of Fame finalists. I'll throw some names out there, man, and really let's talk about maybe a couple names, you know, that you felt like were more interesting to you. I'm gonna run off a list of names to you, and I know for a fact one of these names. I'm gonna name this name first, but I'm gonna go through the list of names, and you tell me, you know, some guys that sound a little bit more interesting than you, Willie Jack, and maybe some guys that for sure, actually a few guys that should have made it over him, man. But some of the finals included Patrick Willis, Reggie Wayne.
Stop the list. Stop the list. You telling me that Patrick Willis was watching the Hall of Fame from the crib Saturday night when Joe Klecko got a jacket?
Hey, Willie Jack. Hey, like you said, man, this ain't the let the film speak Hall of Fame. This ain't the Willie Jack Hall.
Bro,
you know,
what are we doing,
Top Hall.
Patrick Willis watched Joe Klecko get a jacket, or his family, whoever accepted it, because I don't know what's going on with Joe Klecko. Like I said, man, I was going through my wisdom tooth stuff, man. So I didn't get to, you know what I'm saying, watch it like I would have wanted to. Honestly, I found the clips, but man, Patrick Willis. All right, that's a travesty. Okay, yep, yeah, that's one. That's a travesty.
Okay, and then my boy Tom. We're gonna go through some more names. Tom came through with a name real quick, man. He said Andre Johnson should have made it. What's going on, Willie Jack?
No, I didn't. You probably were trying to click it at the same time I was.
Okay,
my fault. But not, man. Chopper tell y'all, man. I am still, but I was a huge Andre Johnson fan. I really was. Like I really was, and so I think he's definitely undervalued. But just for if we're looking in totality, it depends. Well, if somebody were to tell me Hall of Very Good, then I feel he was great. But let's say like what Torrey Holt just got in, Isaac Bruce didn't get in. I mean, so some of his
Torrey Holt didn't get in. Torrey Holt just missed it too. He's on this finals list. Didn't get in. Him. So here's the receivers.
Oh no, you're okay. You go ahead.
Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt, and Andre Johnson. Those are the three.
Out of all those guys, the only guy that I would say that maybe should get in ahead of him is probably Torrey Holt. But and that's because Torrey Holt, he's all decade. I think he has like 7 All Pros. He is a Super Bowl winner, and so I think Torrey Holt probably does get a spot in line above Andre Johnson. After Torrey Holt, out of the guys you just listed me, you're gonna give me Isaac Bruce, Reggie Wayne, and Andre Johnson. I'm taking Andre Johnson all day long. 6'2", about 230 pounds. He played at University of Miami. He was at the back end of that vaunted championship run. I think he won a championship there. He gets drafted by the Texans. Mind you, this is the guy, he was 6'2", 230. He was on the track team in Miami. I'm going to say it 3 times because y'all don't hear me. He was on the track team in Miami in 99, 2000, 2001. Think about the players that came off that Santana Moss. You know what I mean? I'm talking about speed. I'm talking about premier elite, game-changing, broke college football speed. Andre Johnson at 6'2", 230 was taking batons from Santana Moss. Bro, special. And a dog. You know what I'm saying? Not a dog that didn't bark. No bark. All bite. Ask Cortland Sutton. Put them things on that boy. I ain't gonna play no game, boy. Stay in your lane, boy. Get touched up. Pew, pew, pew. You know what I'm saying? Man, yeah, get off me. Man, I love Andre Johnson's game, man. Put my head down, do my job. I don't know who's throwing me the ball. Don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Throw it up there. I can go get it. You know what I mean? Like, so I was really a huge Andre Johnson fan, man. And he's another guy that, and I've said this before, me and Chuck talked about this. He's in Houston. Man, imagine him in Dallas. Imagine Andre Johnson in Dallas. What that star on his helmet does to his career. You know what I'm saying? And we're talking
A lot.
this is late 2000s, early 2010s. You know what I mean? So if just any number of let Andre why didn't Andre Johnson get to play with? Let's say if Andre Johnson got to play with Phillip Rivers in that offense with the Chargers, you know what I'm saying? Instead of Vincent Jackson and those guys, if it's Andre Johnson outside next to Antonio Gates with Damian Thompson in the backfield, you know what I'm saying? So like, man, this is another guy that his career and his legacy, how we look at him, is a whole nother trajectory. But just like my dog Chop says, man, where you at, man? Sometimes where you at, man, it really affects us. The way we look at Stephon Diggs is going to be the way Stephon Diggs' career is going to end, and his legacy and whatever is two separate trajectories from Minnesota to Buffalo. Location matters, you know what I'm saying? And so Andre Johnson is one of those guys, man. AJ Green, another one of those guys, man. One of my personal favorites, man. Where they could be a whole nother tier, they could be in a whole nother level, man. But you know that ain't the way they cookie crumble. But was definitely a huge Andre Johnson fan. So shout out to my dog, Terrible Time Walker, man. Our resident Texas fan in the building. What's going on, big dog?
So here's the other thing, Willie Jack. So you talked about the U, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's another guy, and this is the guy that kind of it burns me up that he wasn't a first ballot. Devin Hester, man.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Hester was one of the finalists on this list. Now, another thing with being a member of the Hall of Fame thing in terms of Devin Hester was just like, all right, he was more so known for his
special teams. Specialist, and that's what makes him specialist.
He wasn't a good receiver. He wasn't a good cornerback. He tried them at both in terms of positions, but when it came to kickoff returning, I'm talking about being a kickoff returner, punt returner at its highest level. It doesn't get any better than Devin Hester. Devin Hester was a game changer, and I understand that it's a special teams. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't happen as many times as a game, but ask any coach that ever played against Devin Hester how much of impact he had on the game. You ask any coach, was they kicking it to Devin Hester if he was out there on the field? Ain't no way. And they knew better. And
we saw what happened when he did. You either didn't kick it to him or you watched him go to the end zone, bro. You either didn't kick it to him or you watched him go to the end zone. It was literally, you know what I'm saying?
Here is how good Devin Hester was. He broke Deion Sanders' return touchdown record, but Deion Sanders also played full-time defense and returned touchdowns on defense. Devin Hester strictly returned touchdowns as a punt returner and a kick returner.
Well,
Devin Hester,
Ron Woodson doesn't have the all-time combined touchdown return.
Combined.
Yeah, no, because I do remember what you. I'm thinking because I know Devin. I think Devin primetime, and I thought Rod Woodson was up there as well. But no. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking out loud when you said that. I thought that Woody was also up there. I'm sorry. I was talking out loud and didn't. Yeah, my fault. I mean,
no, you do because you made me start thinking about it.
Yeah, no, my fault. But no, I do agree with you saying why you looking at
Woodson, so Woodson had 17.
Okay, yeah.
Woodson had 17. Sanders had 19, and Devin. Hester had
Prime had 19. Okay. I know. So, Rod was up there as well. Okay. Yeah. No, that's my bad. That's my bad.
So, but my point is, those
that's
guys
special.
played
defense,
and return for. Devin Hester was strictly a punt return and kick return, and he changed games. Not to opening kickoff. It's like, all right, what's gonna happen? All ice is shot. Y'all know what it looked like.
Hold on, Chop. You got a. I'm losing you. Your service is choppy and you're going in and out, bro. Can you hear me? All right. Okay, y'all bear with me real quick, man. My dog Chop's gonna be right back, man. We got a little technical difficulty what's going on right now, so we'll work it out, man. He'll be right back. I'm gonna pick up where he left off, man, as far as the Hester talk. And so the thing about it that makes it tough is because just like my dog Chop said, he was a specialist. So just like Ray Guy set the mark, for a punter, set the standard that everybody's measured to. You don't get to the league as a punter unless you're a guy that probably has to have your name on that Ray Guy award like you had to be a guy that's probably in the running or in consideration for the Ray Guy Award. And this guy that also brought that same level of excellence over to the league. But he did it as a specialist, and so sometimes it can be hard. My fault, I just picked up while you was getting back on track. You look good right now though, and so it looks like the problem was issue. But I was talking about how the problem with guys like Hester, and it reminded me of the problem with a guy like Ray Guy, who was a punter, who hit Ray Guy's name. The Ray Guy Award is awarded to the nation's best punter, you know, across all of college football. He waited 40 years to get to the league. He also set he set a lot of the records and set the trends and hang time and things that, you know, I guess let's say revitalize, I guess, the way you punt and cover punts and hang, you know, the things you look for in a punter going forward. But he was a specialist, and so it makes it difficult. But I'm gonna tell you why I don't care about none of that, because Joe Klecko got a jacket. Joe Klecko got a jacket. Devin Hester and Patrick Willis don't. I'm not letting it go. Hell no. The fact that Joe Klecko's in, okay, now Devin Hester's in, because I was a guy that I could appreciate if he got in, but I was going to understand if he didn't. But now that we got Joe Klecko in the building, then yeah, Hester's a Hall of Famer, bro. Hester's a Hall of Famer now. It can't be denied. Hester's getting in. Debo, James Harrison's getting in. Shit. Torrey and Andre getting in now. You know what I'm saying? Like there's guys that maybe would have been outside the club behind that red rope watching Deion and these guys walk in, respectfully, because it's hard to even be a guy that's worthy of being right there behind the red velvet rope, man, and have to watch Deion and these guys go in. Being right there in that group, that Hall of Very Good, which is used as such a derogatory term when we say it, but no, you know how special you have to be to even stand that close to that room, and that's what Deion Sanders is talking about. Getting close to that room is so special. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of these guys can't slip in. When Joe Klecko slips in, man, that tells me Devin Hester's a Hall of Famer. Patrick Willis is definitely a Hall of Famer. I don't know why they played with my boy, but Devin Hester's a Hall of Famer. Because now the line is Joe Klecko. You as strong as the weakest link, and I hate that I'm going so hard on Klecko, man. God, dog. But if he's the new bar to get in. Joe Klecko, one outstanding season is now the bar to get into the Hall. After all the stuff they gave Terrell Davis for getting John Elway 2 Super Bowls, a Super Bowl MVP, a league MVP, a 2,000-yard rusher, well, he only played for 6 years. Well, 4 of them were the best years of any running back at that time in a league that had guys like Emmitt Smith, Clinton Portis, and man, y'all stop playing with me, man. Joe Klecko, yes, Devin Hester should have been in the Hall of Fame, man. They didn't. Man, I can't believe they did this, man. Yeah, that's a good name as well. Boy, I like these names because somebody playing, boy. Yeah, Joe Klecko.
Somebody playing, man. Somebody playing. And I'm just going to run off the rest of these names real quick, Willie Jack, man. We touched on a few of them. Like I said, I said Darren Woodson a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. Albert Lewis is a name. Willie Anderson and Jared Allen was the guys that kind of rounded out that finals list of guys that didn't necessarily make it, man. So a very, very talented list. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of speculation that goes on in terms of, you know, the guys that could have actually made it or maybe were more deserving. But ultimately, man, at the end of the day, hey, man, pay our respects to the guys that made it to the Hall of Fame and to the guys that just missed, man. Better luck next year. You know, we'll be watching. Of course, we're gonna do another show on it. We're gonna bring it back again, and we're gonna pay homage again. And if we don't think you deserve it next year, we're gonna let you know one more time, man. And that's the thing. NFL, if y'all watching this, if y'all come check out Let the Film Speak, man, y'all need to do something about the
man. They need us in that room, bro. They need us in that room.
They need to do something about it. And in terms of, hey man, if a guy ain't made it in the last 20, Klecko's last season was in 1988. Man, it's been
35 years.
It's been 40 years, bro.
35, man, don't do that to me, man. 35
years. If you can't make it in the first 10, man, that means you don't deserve it, man.
Give him 20, man. What does baseball do? Does baseball give guys 20 years?
I don't know what's the time limit, man.
My fault, but I think baseball, because I'm not mad about 20 years because they try to keep those classes small. You know what I mean? Because they want the classes ideally to be between like 5 and 7, and then they want to pull two contributors or 2 older time guys or 2 coaches to get the class to around 9, like you were saying. But generally, the contemporary picks or like the current kind of player picks is generally those guys number between 5 and 7. And so sometimes it may be a run of years where maybe it does get a little backed up. I don't mind giving them 10 years. I don't mind giving them 20 years. But I don't understand what changed, how that one season, that one spectacular, extraordinary
Okay, so let me ask you this too, Willie Jack. Does
Okay.
it go off of the class that you get drafted in, or when you retire?
When you retire. So when you retire, you have to be retired for 5 years, and then you become eligible after 5 consecutive years of retirement, because guys have came back and it resets your time type of thing. So you have to be retired for 5 years, and then you become eligible to get in. And so so it took him 30 years to get in. What changed looking at 78 sacks? No. What changed looking at 58 career sacks minus 1 outlier year? What changed over 30 years for 58 sacks for a team that didn't win a Super Bowl, for a guy? I mean, man, I don't know, man. That one I just can't figure it out. I can't see that one. I can't do it, man. I just don't, man. I hate we had to go so hard on homeboy, but I just can't see it, man.
You know
Especially
what?
when he's in it, Patrick Willis not. Patrick Willis had to watch him get his jacket. Devin Hester had to watch him get his jacket. How long did Charles Haley wait with 5 Super Bowls, the first guy in this league? Not Tom Brady. We don't talk about Charles Haley enough. 5 Super Bowls, he had to beg to get in. He was all decades guy. He changed the trajectory of the NFC West. The 2 most important free agent signings in the 90s defensive football was primetime leaving San Francisco, going to Dallas and winning the Super Bowl, and Charles Haley doing it before him and winning the Super Bowl as well. Or, it's like those 2 guys changed the scope and course of the league and did it at the highest level, and were the impetus for championships, for Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? And Charles Haley got played with. I mean, well, I guess it's different. He didn't wait 30 years. But what I'm just saying is, bro, I don't know, man. We got it, man. You got to get me out of there, man. Get me out of there, Chop, man. I'm going, man. I don't want to disrespect.
I think 20 years is too long, man. If you ain't made it in 20, nah, man. Nah.
Yeah,
like,
that's plenty of time. That's what I'm saying, man. That's plenty of time. Because a guy like Ken Riley, who he's probably outside that 20-year mark, but he's a guy that fell through the cracks. When I went back and looked at the legacy of a guy like Ken Riley, like, I ain't mad at that, man. Even a guy like Chuck Howell, man, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not mad at Chuck Howell getting in. It took a while. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes a guy falls through the crack. Joe didn't fall through the cracks. Somebody went through the cracks and found Joe and brought him through. Like, man, he got a hell of a homeboy in Canton. Somebody did their thing, boy. Because I don't know how in the hell somebody let Joe Klecko in and Patrick Willis ain't in. What are we doing? What are we doing? Patrick Willis is the 3rd greatest. Man, y'all gonna argue with y'all mama. Patrick Willis is the 3rd greatest.
Get out of there, Willie Jack. We're gonna get you out of there, Willie Jack. Get you out of there.
Quit playing with my
dog. Hey, look. We did what we came to do, man. Me and my dog Willie Jack.
Came, saw, and conquered, bro.
You know what I'm saying? We saw, we conquered, man. We went through all of the Hall of Fame cast of the 2023, man. We talked about each one of those guys. We gave you the news. We gave you everything today, man. We appreciate everybody for tapping in with your boys. Willie Jack, close us on out, man.
Man, hey, man, just like my dog just said, man, appreciate the love today, man. Appreciate all them members in the building, man. I'm going to run y'all down one more time, man. Hey, we had sis in the building, man. Shout out to Stink Prince one more time. Shout out to our sister in love, man, Sierra Tolbert. You know what I'm saying? We love and appreciate you. Shout out to our dog, man, our Eagles, CMU brethren as well, man. Our dog Scoop, man. Our dog Dave Tolbert, man. Like I said, tap in with those guys, man. Just like I said, shirt presses, man. Your nephew got a football team, your wife got a book club, don't matter. You know what I'm saying? You need shirts for an occasion, a situation, for a team. You can holler at Stink Prince, man. I'm sure they have links online or across social media. I promise if I had that link, man, I drop it for you guys. But definitely want to shout those guys out, man. Shout out to the members, the fam bam, man. The home team was in the building. Shout out to Mom Deuce. Shout out to baby sis in this thing. Shout out to wifey in this thing. Appreciate you guys. Jefe El Nino, man. I know you were tapping in with us on that Facebook page as well, man. Shout out to you as well, sir. Our dog Terrible Time Walker was in this thing for real, holding us down the strong way, man. Man, y'all know what's going on, man. Damn, hey, look, man, I'm sorry, man. Look, you know I say the same thing every week. Don't mean I don't mean it. If I forgot to say your name, damn. Charge it to my head, but don't charge it to my heart. You know we thinking about you, big dog. You know we love it, man. We love it. Y'all come in here and get active in the chat, man. My dog Scoop jumped in and he's talking about 1,500 yards of Calvin Ridley and 300 M's with Joe Burrow, man. Get in here and get real spicy, man. It don't bother us, man. We love all the smoke, man. We love him and you guys' thoughts and interactions, man. It makes this so much more enjoyable for me and my dog Chop, man. Like we always say, man, we really do love and appreciate all the support, man. So y'all been holding us down a long way, man. Stay the strong way. We ain't going nowhere, man. Wednesday, 7 o'clock. You know what's going on. You know we ain't got no watches because we ain't got nowhere else to be. But right in here with the fair cookie football flavor like we always do. Now, Chop, tell them next week, man. What we got next week, man?
Next week, man, we got the coaching rankings, man. We done went through all the player rankings. We went through quarterbacks. We went through everybody on offense. We went through everybody on defense. Big uglies from the backside, safeties, corners, linebackers. This time we gonna touch on the coaches, man. We're gonna rank these coaches
Sure.
going into the 2023 season, man, and we just gonna leave it like that, man. So next week, tune in with us. We got the coaches, man. We got the
And we be right back. And just like that, hey, same back time, different back channel. We will see y'all next week. Until then, y'all have fun. Y'all be safe. Y'all stay smooth. Peace.
Peace.